Naruto, the rise of the Uzumaki Clan. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction. So don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 326: The Thousand-Handed Coward. The Land of Whirlpools. The Senju Clan. While other clans and citizens were actively preparing for the impending war and contributing their strength, the Senju Clan remained remarkably calm. All clan members, having received orders from the clan head and Lady Tsunade, gradually returned to the family villa. They had initially thought something major was happening, but unexpectedly, Lady Tsunade. Senju Hideaki looked at Tsunade, who was lying lazily on the carpet with her eyes closed, and said with a wry smile, "We." Before he could finish, Tsunade opened her eyes, glanced at Senju Hideaki indifferently, then snorted before closing her eyes again, saying nothing. She knew what Senju Hideaki wanted to say, but the Senju clan could not possibly be enemies with Konoha. This was a matter of principle. Moreover, she couldn't bear to see her clansmen fight with the village ninjas, even if it was just injury. Let alone war, that would be a matter of life and death. Although she felt deeply sorry for the Land of Whirlpools, she could only apologize to them in her heart. At most, she would be more attentive in class next time and not slack off anymore. Seeing Tsunade's expression, Senju Hideaki sighed helplessly and shook his head with a bitter smile. As expected, Lady Tsunade wouldn't let them leave. To be honest, he still had feelings for Konoha. After all, it was the ninja village founded by the Senju clan, and he himself had lived there for so many years. These feelings weren't easily forgotten. Therefore, he was filled with inner turmoil. But the new generation was different. They left Konoha at a very young age, and having witnessed the annihilation of the Senju clan, it was a miracle if they didn't hate Konoha, let alone have any feelings for it. Although the clan leader led the clan's elite members to their deaths to prevent the Senju clan from developing hatred for Konoha, how could such hatred simply be extinguished? Especially these Senju clan children, educated and raised in the Land of Whirlpools, their hearts are with the Land of Whirlpools. As for Konoha, they have absolutely no feelings for it. If it weren't for the fact that he, the current clan leader, and Tsunade, the former clan leader's daughter and granddaughter, were holding them back, the lower ranks would probably have rebelled. Go back to your rooms. Senju Hideaki sighed, looking at the group of clan members with unhappy expressions on their faces, and said, "You'll all stay here obediently for the time being." With Tsunade blocking the door, who could run away? What should we do? Muzinshi returned to his room, lay on the bed, and quietly stared at the ceiling, murmuring, "Clan leader, Tsunade. You only have feelings for Konoha, but they don't. You know, his father and mother died in battle alongside the clan leader." At that time, he wondered, why did the Hokage force the Senju clan like this? The Senju clan is one of the two founding clans of Konoha, and they have always loved Konoha very much. And then there's Zizun. Last time he led his clan to aid the Land of Whirlpools, and in the end, he was almost captured by the Hidden Leaf villages Anbu. They still remember that. Muzinshi grew up in the Land of Whirlpools, received his education there, so why, now, when the country is in danger, is he hiding at home? You know, he's a soldier. I bet Ki is probably laughing at me for deserting right now, Muzinshi said with a bitter smile, shaking his head. And the captain? Although the captain agreed when he asked for leave and didn't say anything, he could tell, the captain was extremely disappointed. Muzinshi looked at the ceiling, his gaze lost, and murmured, "I'm so sorry." However, before he could finish, "You should say that to the captain, to your teammates." A voice rang out in the room. Muzinshi was startled and quickly sat up, looking at the person standing at the window. He then lay back down, sighed, and said indifferently, "Oh, it's Ki. Shouldn't you be in the army preparing for war right now? Why do you have time to come here?" And Muzinshi said irritably, "Next time you come here, can you please not climb through the window? It's not like I'm not letting you in, can't you just walk in through the door?" I snuck out. Uchiha looked at the dejected Muzinshi and said calmly, "Are you really not going back?" As for climbing through the window, this time it was really intentional. After all, If you're going to sneak out through the main gate, what kind of behavior is that? Eh? Muzinshu opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. Finally, he sighed and said, the Senju clan is different from the Uchiha clan. The first and second Hokage were both Senju clan members, and there's also one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha, Lady Tsunade. The Senju clan wouldn't act rashly. What's different now? Uchiha Itachi looked at Muzinshu and said, even if it's different, do you really not want to go back? Are you trying to desert? Or, you want to go back to Konoha? Uchiha Itachi walked up to Muzinshu, his calm gaze quietly fixed on him. I remember you were the one who dragged me to join the army. Originally, I even wanted to become a policeman and follow the clan leader. Now you want to desert. How ridiculous. I'm sorry. Muzinshu paused for a moment, then looked up at Uchiha, saying with a bitter smile, I really didn't want to be a deserter, nor did I want to go back to Konoha. I wanted to be with you all, but the Senju clan. However, before Muzinshu could finish speaking. Stop making excuses. Uchiha grabbed Muzinshu by the collar and roared, if your clan leader won't let you go, why don't you just sneak over? Pointing to the window, climb over the window. I climbed over the window to get here. You're clearly a coward. You've done nothing but keep saying sorry. Who have you apologized to? You've only apologized to yourself. Uchiha looked at Muzinshu with disappointment and said, the Senju clan is a bunch of cowards. Even after he said that, Muzinshu remained silent. He had truly misjudged him. He sighed, turned to jump out the window, and then looked at Muzinshu, saying softly, this time. The Senju clan lost, they're really lost. And they lost for life. Lord Madara, it's time to fight. Toby peeled an apple, took a bite, and looked at Lord Madara who was reading a book, saying, what are we going to do? The theory of Buddhism. He didn't know what Lord Madara was reading this kind of book for. He took another bite of the apple. Crunch! Lord Madara's teeth weren't good, so he couldn't eat hard things, and he had to eat these apples himself. And let's not forget, the apples from the land of whirlpools were really crisp and sweet. Shut up. Madara glanced at Toby and said, don't eat this kind of thing in front of me. This Toby is getting more and more audacious. Just stay here quietly. He turned back to look at the book in his hand. And sighed inwardly. No wonder the land of whirlpools became the target of everyone's criticism. Reddest guiding ideology. How interesting. Madara's lips curled slightly upward as he muttered, I wonder what Hashirama would think if he saw this? His one country one village policy was a complete joke. Gathering so many ninjas elevated their status while diminishing the power of ordinary people, ultimately leading to a situation where even life and death were in the hands of the ninjas. It had evolved into the current state where the strong could act with impunity, indiscriminately killing the innocent and arbitrarily taking the lives of ordinary people. If this continued, class conflict would inevitably erupt. Madara Uchiha saw true peace, where everyone, whether civilians or ninjas, could live together peacefully, not a false, one-sided peace. Therefore, Madara's lips curled slightly upward. That idiot Hashirama, Chapter 2, that's all. I don't know if you can see the comments on Kidian's website? I can't see them on Xianyu's website, or even on Chuanshu. Is it just a personal problem, or is this the case for everyone? Chapter 327. A Soldier. In early June of Konoha year 43, the ninja forces of the 5 great ninja villages began their march towards the land of whirlpools. Because Iwagakure and Sunagakure were far from the land of whirlpools, they needed to rendezvous with Konoha in the land of fire before crossing the river together to launch their attack. Kumagakure and Kirigakure, on the other hand, could proceed directly from their homelands. Therefore, the main battlefields in the land of whirlpools were threefold: the combined forces of Sunagakure, Iwagakure, and Konoha from the land of fire, and the forces of Kumagakure from the land of lightning and Kirigakure from the land of water. However, to prevent other ninja villages from crossing the river or even diving in from other directions, the land of whirlpools maintained a strong military presence along its borders, focusing primarily on the 3 neighboring countries. Meanwhile, the bridge connecting the land of fire to the land of whirlpools, built during its founding, was prematurely destroyed by the whirlpool ninjas, a truly regrettable situation. This bridge was built slowly by prisoners from other ninja villages. Originally, Uzumaki-jun planned to erect a stone monument there a few years later, after the entire ninja world had truly achieved peace, as proof of the land of whirlpool's friendly coexistence with other ninja villages. But now that's probably impossible. Although the atmosphere of war is increasingly tense, under the country's administration, there hasn't been any chaos. Everyone knows the situation is far too serious. The alliance of the 5 great ninja villages against a mere small country, how can they possibly win? Now they can only pray for the country's survival and dare not hinder its progress. Especially after arresting several people a few days ago who were spreading rumors of the land of whirlpool's impending destruction, they are still imprisoned, awaiting deportation after the war ends. During this time, many people have left, including civilians, wandering ninjas, and most merchants. Seeking profit and avoiding harm is the nature of all merchants. Many shops in the commercial district closed again. Fortunately, the land of whirlpools had prepared several months in advance, and the prices of domestic goods and daily necessities had not increased. As for food, thanks to Yuta's training and Hiruko's research, the land of whirlpools was not short of food, so the situation remained stable. At the same time, the police from the land of whirlpools police department went door to door from morning till night, reassuring the people of the land of whirlpools and telling them to stay in the country and follow the arrangements. They assured them that the country would never abandon them, and that as long as the army of the land of whirlpools was not defeated, they would protect them, with their lives. Under the management of various policies and force, no one dared to cause trouble at this time. Most people understood the current situation and were actively cooperating with the work of the land of whirlpools. June. The weather gradually became hot. It's so hot. Obito stuck out his tongue, looked at a notebook in his hand, and said helplessly, "This area has been notified, it's time to move on to the next place." He had been running errands for the past few days, whether it was reassuring civilians to go home or conducting investigations in various families, he had not stopped. It's safe to say these past few days have been incredibly exhausting. Not just him, the entire police station has been extremely busy. They're not only monitoring the land of whirlpools 24/7 to prevent any spies from causing trouble, but also on 24-hour standby to prevent any unexpected incidents. As a result, most colleagues are only getting less than 3 hours of sleep a night. The ninjas are doing alright, but some ordinary colleagues are simply unable to withstand such high pressure. Many have even collapsed from lack of sleep. However, after recovering a little, they return to work. Perhaps they can't help on the battlefield, but they will still do their best to provide a stable rear for the soldiers on the front lines. Fortunately, Chief Miyagi has revised the shift work plan early and provided sufficient health supplements, otherwise, things would definitely have gone wrong if this continued. Actually, I could also go to the front lines to help, Obito sighed, saying helplessly, "My strength is still quite strong." Although he hasn't awakened his Sharingan yet, he's already proficient in Uchiha throwing techniques and some fire release techniques. However, Chief Fugaku disagreed, believing he was always unreliable and worried that he wouldn't be able to help on the battlefield, and might even forget his weapon kit and never return. Besides, there was no requirement for officers to participate in combat, so they only needed to perform their duties and not cause trouble for others. Uchiha Obito shook his head helplessly. What a headache. He had promised to bring it, why didn't they believe him? Then, he rallied his spirits. Let's finish today's mission quickly. He envied his older brother Ki and the others, who were able to go to the front lines. He should have joined the army too. Here you go. Uchiha Ki handed the lunchbox to Mukenshu, saying casually, "Your lunchbox." "Thank you." Mukenshu nodded, took the lunchbox, and asked, "What are we eating today?" They could only afford lunchboxes for a short time. Once the troops from the 5 great shinobi villages entered the land of whirlpool's range, they might not even have time for canned food. Because the Senju and Uchiha clans were once prominent families in Konoha, they were all assigned to the eastern battlefield, primarily facing the Kurigakure forces, thus avoiding the Konoha battlefield. Although Mukenshu didn't mind attacking Konoha ninjas, this wasn't so bad. At least the clan leader and the others wouldn't have to worry. Mukenshu sighed, opened his lunchbox, and said, "There's even braised pork knuckle today, quite a feast. A fried egg, some vegetables, and a bowl of hot soup. Tisk tisk. I wonder if the Kurigakure ninjas are like this?" Uchiha Ki picked up his lunchbox and suddenly noticed a red egg next to Mukenshu, saying casually, "Haven't eaten yet? It's been several days already?" Mukenshu picked up the red egg and waved it in front of Uchiha Ki, saying, "I plan to eat it after the war is over." This egg was given to him by an old man he met at the military base gate when he escaped. At the time, Zinshu wondered what was going on. Why were so many people giving eggs and old hens at the military base gate? Until he heard the old man say that he couldn't go to the battlefield, was too old to be of much help, and had nothing of value except some eggs from his own hens. He decided to give the eggs to the soldiers in the army to try, because they could only do these small things. Moreover, these red eggs were very auspicious. The old man, while speaking, grabbed a few eggs and placed them in his hand, saying, he hoped they would all return safely. The land of whirlpools depended on them. Although the army didn't lack these eggs, Zinshu still felt a heavy weight on his hand. This was the blessing of these ordinary people, and also the responsibility he had to bear. So he kept the red egg. He was extremely grateful that he had escaped with Ki in the end, otherwise, he would have looked down on himself for the rest of his life. So what if it's broken? Zinshu smiled slightly, quietly looking at the red egg in his hand. I believe it will bring me good luck. Therefore, I won't eat it now. Just looking at this egg brought him peace of mind, because he wasn't alone. He had many comrades behind him, and a group of ordinary people quietly praying for them. This responsibility might be very heavy, but he wouldn't shirk it, because he was a soldier who almost deserted. Whatever, Uchihaki said casually, eating his lunchbox. Anyway, it'll probably be rotten by then. The Senju clan is so pretentious. Let's see how you eat it then. Chapter 1. Chapter 328 Sharpening the Knife. Why aren't you at home? What are you doing here? Sujetsu Hazuki took a drag of his cigarette, looking at Juzo Biwa who was quietly sharpening his knife beside him, and said irritably, there won't be any business these next few days. What are you sharpening your knife for? The nearby shops were all closed, the factories were on holiday, and most people would stay home unless they had something to do. This was also a requirement of the land of whirlpools, so no one would come over for grilled fish so late at night. Sujetsu Hazuki stubbed out his cigarette, casually pulled out 2 bottles of beer from the refrigerator next to him, and tossed one to Juzo Biwa. This kind of weather is perfect for ice-cold beer. It was just too hot. Luckily, the land of whirlpools had refrigerators and air conditioning, otherwise eating grilled fish in this weather would be unbearably hot. It's just that refrigerators and air conditioning consume so much chakra. Sujetsu Hazuki shook his head helplessly and muttered, the costs have increased again, looks like the price of grilled fish will have to be raised too. Otherwise, he wouldn't make much money at all. Juzo Biwa took the ice-cold beer, gulped down a large mouthful, then looked up, glanced at Hoshigaki Tsukayao, and said casually, just thought it might come in handy, so I'm testing it out, lest it become dull. He didn't know what the final outcome would be for the land of whirlpools. Although they had been defeated when they invaded the land of whirlpools with the second Mizukage, that was different from this time. The land of whirlpools couldn't hide everyone and slowly wear down the enemy like they did last time. Moreover, the 5 great shinobi villages. Juzo Biwa sighed bitterly to himself. Perhaps if the land of whirlpools had been given more time, they wouldn't have to fear, but now there was no time left. Aren't you going home? Hoshigaki Tsukayao looked at the nearly empty bottle of ice-cold beer, shook it, and said, what are you doing here with a bachelor like me? Your mother, your wife, your son are all waiting for you at home. Everything's arranged at home, nothing will happen. Juzo Biwa put down his beer, continued sharpening his knife, and said, I'll be staying at the shop for a while. This cleaver was far too short. If only he could get the executioner's blade, but he wondered how things were at the slaughterhouse. Don't worry, Sujetsu Hazuki said nonchalantly, the land of whirlpools will be fine. He'd just seen Prince Sun a few days ago. Since Prince Sun himself seemed so unconcerned, this war certainly wouldn't go wrong. Otherwise, why would he be so at ease accompanying his wife to the Obijin? And she should be giving birth soon. Should he prepare a gift? Sujetsu Hazuki stroked his chin, deep in thought. After all, there was an advertisement hanging at the door saying, even Prince Sun says it's delicious. He should probably pay for that advertising. As for Juzo Biwa, he didn't seem to care about Sujetsu Hazuki's words, continuing to sharpen his sword and saying calmly, better safe than sorry. I don't want my family to become slaves of a conquered nation. Now that he had decided to submit to the land of whirlpools, then, he would do his best to protect this country. Besides, he was a strong man in his son's eyes, how could he cower in the back? Hearing Juzo Biwa's words, Sujetsu Hazuki shrugged, putting the empty beer bottle into the recycling bin. he would have to hand it over to the Whirlpool's brewery when he went to buy more beer. As for Juzobiwa, let him do whatever he wanted. After all, Sujetsu Hazuki, had no wife, no children. Really, he was just a little chubby, with slightly pointed teeth and a slightly large mouth, wasn't he? But compared to Juzobiwa, he considered himself a charming man, so why was he still single? Sujetsu Habuki sighed inwardly. HMPH. What a bunch of shallow women. Lady Tsunade, Senju Hideaki said helplessly, looking at Tsunade, who spent most of her time lying in the main hall except for bathing, eating, and using the toilet. We don't make a sound. However, before he could finish speaking, Tsunade interrupted him. Seeing Tsunade like this, Senju Hideaki breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Lady Tsunade wasn't angry about her clansmen sneaking away. Those brats were really something. If they wanted to sneak away, why did they even come here? Couldn't they just ignore his orders as the clan leader? They were such a headache. Senju Hideaki sat cross-legged, squinting his eyes. Now, he just needed to stay here and watch over Lady Tsunade. He hoped that Lady Tsunade could stay here quietly until the war was over. He hoped that nothing else would happen. He sighed inwardly. Suddenly, a piercing alarm sounded. Tsunade and Senju Hideaki both opened their eyes abruptly and looked at each other. They had arrived. They're already here? Sasori murmured, looking towards the land of fire through his binoculars. So many. The fleets of the three great ninja villages of the land of fire were already in sight, a vast and imposing force. Platoon leader Sasori, aren't we from the mechanical department? A soldier beside him, also looking through binoculars, asked, why are we stuck here at the artillery position? They should be wielding advanced weapons, wearing specialized armor, and roaring as they fought the enemy in a fierce battle. Why are they hiding in the rear, mixed in with the artillery? It's what we were ordered to do, Sasori said, putting down his binoculars and looking at his comrades. Because the battle lines are stretched too long, we don't have enough artillery, so they sent us to help out. And the orders from the unit are to keep the enemy out. We absolutely cannot let them in. So, Sasori narrowed his eyes as he watched the Allied forces approaching. As expected, the battlefield in the land of fire was approaching faster than other battlefields. If we don't fire the cannon, we'll have to go to logistics. I see. His comrade sighed helplessly, saying regretfully, then we can't use the armor you invented, platoon leader? He was planning to wear the cool armor and show off in front of the enemy. Isn't it better if we can choose it? Scorpion smiled and said, we'll keep the enemy out, so the country's losses won't be so severe. The soldier scratched the back of his head and said, that's true. It's best if we don't need it. Alright, stop joking. Scorpion shook his head helplessly. The fleet from the three great ninja villages stroked their chins and muttered, is there any way to fire a shot at them? As for the distance. Hearing the platoon leader's words, Haijin narrowed his eyes, calculated for a moment, and said, too far, we can't reach them. We can wait until they get closer. Although the chakra cannon was quite powerful, its range wasn't far. I see. Sasori sighed regretfully, then raised his head. His eyes sharply fixed on the front, and said, once they're within range, open fire. Go all out. No need to conserve chakra. They actually dared to think of invading the land of whirlpools. They've never died before. After this war ends, he'll find a way to increase the range, so that these ninja villages will taste the bitterness of being shelled as soon as they set foot in the sea. And this war. Sasori's lips curled slightly. Sasori, the platoon leader of the mechanical unit, will definitely receive a first-class merit medal, which he'll give as a gift to his newborn sister. Chapter 2, that's all. Chapter 329. There's a ninjutsu I don't understand. When the alarm sounded, Uzumaki-jun left Mikado, who was in the hospital awaiting childbirth. He habitually found a hill, grabbed his binoculars, and watched the allied forces of the three great ninja villages of the land of fire. He sighed inwardly, muttering, couldn't I have come a few days later? Mikado was due to give birth in a few days, and if war broke out now, he didn't know if he would even have time to be with her. Although he could have easily defeated them all with his own strength, a nation's strength doesn't depend on one person. If the land of whirlpools continued to rely on him, what would happen if something unexpected happened? Therefore, the land of whirlpools needed a war that could demonstrate its national strength to the entire nation. He wouldn't intervene unless absolutely necessary, and besides, Only if the land of whirlpools could achieve victory without his help would he be able to focus on something else. Something he was extremely curious about. Uzumaki-jun quietly watched the coordinated actions of the land of whirlpools army, breathing a sigh of relief. As long as Konoha hadn't landed, the situation in the land of whirlpools wouldn't be too dangerous. The battle situation was constantly changing. Although he had set up artillery emplacements around the land of whirlpools, ordering them to keep the enemy at bay on the beaches, who knew what might happen during the war? Therefore, he would remain here, only intervening if the situation truly spiraled out of control. What is this? A loud voice rang out, and everyone turned their gazes in surprise towards the land of whirlpools, watching the large blue sphere that had suddenly appeared and was getting closer and closer. What is this? Although they didn't know what the sphere was, the commanders of each squad, with their keen chakra senses, felt a sense of danger upon seeing the spherical object and quickly used their respective ninjutsu. Magnet release, iron sand wave. Upon seeing the strange object spraying towards them, the third Kazekage immediately used magnet release to create a giant wave, blocking the fleet. No matter what, when encountering something unusual at this time, defense was the only option. This was basic ninja etiquette. Earth release, earth flow wall. Earth release. Everyone reacted quickly, unleashing defensive ninjutsu. Boom. The moment the spherical ninjutsu struck the three great ninja villages, a deafening roar erupted, accompanied by a powerful impact. The fleets of the three villages began to sway and rock in the sea. Rasengan. Minato frowned, muttering, looking at the ninjutsu suddenly launched from the land of whirlpools. Wait a minute. This power is a bit weaker than the Rasengan, and the distance is quite far. How did the land of whirlpools manage to do this? The chakra remained stable even when the Rasengan was out of control? This is interesting. Orochimaru walked over, licked his lips, and squinted, saying, this might be the Rasengan, but now, it's more like a tailed beast ball. He hadn't expected the land of whirlpools to have something like this. Although its power was weaker than an A-rank ninjutsu, if there were enough of them, it would be quite impressive. But, how exactly did they manage to do it? The distance was simply too great. His snake eyes couldn't see the situation in the land of whirlpools at all. However, tailed beast ball? Minato frowned, stroking his chin, and pondered for a moment before saying, such a wide-range Rasengan. A tailed beast's exclusive technique. Orochimaru smiled, saying, it's very similar to the Rasengan. I reckon this ninjutsu is developed based on the tailed beast ball. What a brilliant idea. The daimyo of the land of whirlpools? His fame was considerable. I hope I can meet him this time. Orochimaru squinted, looking in the direction of the land of whirlpools. This round of ninjutsu had only caused them some trouble, although a few ships were damaged, it wouldn't affect their navigation. The daimyo of the land of whirlpools? Minato smiled upon hearing Orochimaru's words, murmuring, I really look forward to meeting you. But, he hadn't expected it to be on the battlefield. He sighed inwardly, remembering the favor he had received from the daimyo of the land of whirlpools years ago. However, now that he was a Jonin of Konoha, he could only carry out the Hokage's orders. Just as they were lost in thought, the familiar sound rang out again. Boom. Damn it. The third Kazekage's face immediately darkened, and he said angrily, this kind of power, this scale of ninjutsu, can the land of whirlpools release it indefinitely? If so, that would be troublesome. After all, they were in the ocean. Some ninjutsu are quite troublesome to release and consume a lot of chakra. What if they were exhausted when they reached the shore? As a Kage, he didn't really think the land of whirlpools was so easily fooled. Look at Kirigakure, didn't the second Mizukage look down on the Uzumaki clan back then? What happened in the end? He failed. And suffered heavy losses, only able to shift the battlefield to fight Iwagakure to the death. Every ninja here understood that war was never to be taken lightly. Even though they were the allied forces of the 5 great shinobi villages, who knew what kind of strength the land of whirlpools possessed? But now, the third Kazekage sighed inwardly, ordering the ninja below to quickly prepare their defenses. Otherwise, a few more impacts of this force would completely destroy the ship, leaving them with no choice but to wade across the water. Meanwhile, on Konoha's side, Minato was also surprised that such a powerful ninjutsu could still sweep in like a tidal wave. He frowned, seemingly deep in thought, and said, 2 minutes? Then, looking up at the approaching ninjutsu, he quickly deployed his own defense. This time, the 5 great ninja villages couldn't afford to lose. Otherwise, what would become of their reputation? He sighed inwardly, hoping that the land of whirlpools wouldn't resist stubbornly, otherwise the final result would be unbearable. The Hokage had already said that the land of whirlpools, after all, was an ally of the first Hokage and had done Konoha a great favor. Therefore, as long as they brought back the rogue ninja from Konoha, there was no need for further bloodshed. Minato looked helplessly at the land of whirlpools, recalling the red-haired boy who had given him the chakra refining manual and the Rasengan Ninjutsu. He truly didn't want to be his enemy. In fact, he even had some ideas about the Rasengan that he wanted to discuss with the daimyo of the land of whirlpools. But now, he was just a ninja after all. Minato-sensei. A little girl walked up to Minato, hesitated, and said, What is it? Rin-Hiruno. Minato gave Rin-Hiruno his signature smile and said, if you have something to say, just say it. The land of whirlpools. Rin-Hiruno glanced at Kakashi and Shizune behind her, who were looking up at the sky, paused, and finally said cautiously, are we really going to war with the land of whirlpools? Jiraiya-sama and Tsunade-sama are still in the land of whirlpools. Thinking of this, Rin-Hiruno felt a headache coming on. She had promised Tsunade-sama not to tell, but now, what if Minato-sensei saw Jiraiya-sama if she didn't tell? Moreover, Kakashi and Shizune are really mean, actually making her come here to talk. But if she does speak up, will Lady Tsunade beat her up? But right now, it's war. Sorry, Minato-sensei, I just have a ninjutsu I don't understand. Rin thought for a moment, deciding to wait and see how things went before deciding whether to speak up. But it seems Minato-sensei is busy right now, let's ask him when we get back to the village. Just as she finished speaking. Boom. Minato looked helplessly at the ninjutsu launched by the land of whirlpools again, nodded with a wry smile, and said, sorry, I really am busy right now. What exactly is the land of whirlpools trying to do? Wasting such a huge amount of chakra just to disrupt their offensive? Minato frowned, looking in the direction of the land of whirlpools. I really can only answer you when we get back to the village. This is truly a headache. Chapter 1. Chapter 330 Shaking Them to Death. Compared to the raging battles in the land of fire, the land of lightning and the land of water remained peaceful. They haven't arrived yet. So boring. Nagato yawned, looking at Yahiko, and said, how long do you think it will take for the Cloud Ninja to arrive? It seems like the fighting in the land of fire is quite intense. Even from this far away, I can hear the cannon fire, and this intense tremor. The entire land of whirlpools is shaking. I wonder what the situation is like over there? Cheer up, Yahiko rolled his eyes and said, this is wartime. Still wanting to doze off? Why does Nagato, a member of the Uzumaki clan, lack the spirit and energy of the other Uzumaki clan members? He's so listless. It's alright, Nagato stretched, waved his hand, and said, the land of whirlpools won't lose. He believed in his older brother, Jun. Although brother Sun has always been lazy, if the land of whirlpools were truly in danger, he would have already taken action. He wouldn't be doing nothing now, just watching from the sidelines. Yahiko sighed helplessly at Nagato's state, saying, you're affecting others like this. After all, a lazy atmosphere is contagious. That's true. Hearing Yahiko's words, Nagato snapped out of his reverie, pondered for a moment, and said, this is indeed not good. But it's still so boring. Nagato looked around. Hasn't Konan returned yet? She went to deliver explosive tags to comrades on other battlefields. Yahiko sighed, saying, no matter what, we can't let our guard down. You know, war is unpredictable. So you... Yes, sir. Nagato quickly interrupted Yahiko's lecture, saying helplessly, if you ask me, what's the point of fighting? Wouldn't it be better if we all just sat down and talked it out? Sigh. Yahiko sighed, patted Nagato's shoulder, and said, because nobody wants to see the sixth great nation rise. Having experienced the war in the land of rain, he knew how terrible war was. Did Hanzo of the Salamander really not want to quell the chaos in the land of rain? No. It was because nobody wanted to see a nation with the title of demigod of the ninja world stabilize. Now, the land of whirlpools has money and manpower, plus Prince Jun. So, war was already destined. Alright. Nagato spread his hands and said, I understand, it's too annoying. What's so good about war? He still prefers a peaceful life. It will end. Yahiko gazed in the direction of the land of lightning and said calmly, as long as the land of whirlpools continues to grow stronger. stronger than all the other ninja villages, then nobody will dare to defend the land of whirlpools, as expected. Uzumaki soon sighed, putting down his binoculars and muttering, "It seems impossible to inflict too much damage on Konoha using chakra cannons. After all, the attack was too obvious. Such a loud noise, coupled with a rigid attack trajectory, might make it easy for their large ships to hit, but they would defend themselves. If the chakra cannons were stronger, perhaps they could cause damage. But now, a power slightly stronger than a B-rank ninjutsu, roughly equivalent to an A-rank ninjutsu, is still not enough." Uzumaki soon stroked his chin, muttering, "Looks like in the end, we'll have to rely on real combat. That would mean significant losses. What to do? Attack." Sasori roared, narrowing his eyes. "Attack hard. Blocked? Then let's see how long you can withstand the overwhelming, relentless barrage of chakra cannons." "Sergeant Sasori, this is consuming too much energy," Hygen sighed, helplessly. "Continuing won't cause them much damage." "No," Sasori shook his head, a slight smile playing on his lips. "It will. They've already suffered damage. Indeed, they had blocked it, but the impact of a near-rank ninjutsu was no simple matter. Plus, they were at sea, and..." Sasori watched the chakra cannons fire again. So many chakra cannons exploding together wasn't just a simple A-rank ninjutsu. Even if they blocked it, what about the ship? What about the people on board? If they keep rocking like this, let's see if they can even stand on their own feet when they get ashore. Of course, it would be best to rock the ship to pieces and make them all swim over. "So, don't stop," Sasori said with a dangerous smile, "keep firing like this." It's just, he didn't know if they had enough chakra, about 2 minutes per round? Minato muttered, stroking his chin. This can't go on. The intense impact caused the sea to shake violently. However, they hadn't moved forward at all. In fact, they had been pushed back quite a bit, and... Minato looked at the group of ninjas clinging to the railings and sighed helplessly. They were all seasick. How could they possibly have the energy to fight the land of whirlpools once they disembarked? "Looks like we need to come up with a plan." Minato frowned, gazing gravely in the direction of the land of whirlpools, and said, "Otherwise, staying here like this isn't a solution." Some of the ships were even damaged. If this continued, they would definitely fall apart and be badly destroyed. Then, would they really have to swim or wade across the land of whirlpools? Orochimaru licked his lips, narrowing his eyes, and said, "This is really interesting. I didn't expect there to be such a method. Shaking them to death here was indeed a solution. But, how long could they consume such a massive amount of chakra?" "Lord Orochimaru," Minato turned to Orochimaru, who was grinning, and said, "I'll leave the fleet to you." He took out a specially made kunai, different from the others. "I'll go to the land of whirlpools first, to see how the land of whirlpools managed to free the Rasengan from control. Of course, if he could sabotage it." Minato looked at the land of whirlpools with a serious expression. He wouldn't show any mercy. "Go ahead," Orochimaru nodded, smiling, "I'll protect this place." The old man didn't come, but he dragged him out of the laboratory to intimidate the cage of the other ninja villages. So, with Orochimaru here, nothing would happen. But, when they saw Minato-sensei going to the land of whirlpools, Kakashi and the other two boys exchanged glances and panicked. Would going like this cause problems? "Minato-sensei." Kakashi was about to say something when... "Wait until I get back, Kakashi." As the next round of bombardment began, Minato immediately threw out kunai, used the Flying Thunder God technique to teleport there, and then, in the 2 minutes of downtime, he stepped across the churning sea, his face serious, and charged towards the land of whirlpools. Kakashi helplessly watched Minato-sensei rush out. He sighed inwardly. He should be alright, right? After all, Jiraiya-sama and Tsunade-sama are there. So, he wasn't worried about Konoha being harmed from the start. Although Jiraiya-sama and Tsunade-sama seemed to be doing quite well in the land of whirlpools. They were Konoha ninjas. He believed they wouldn't stand idly by while Konoha ninjas were hurt. But, he wondered if Minato-sensei would beat them up? Chapter 2. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331. Aren't you afraid your girlfriend will remarry? Are you sure we don't need to worry about Sasori? Hiko carefully cradled a baby, playing with her while speaking to Chiro, who was fiddling with something in front of her. The war has already begun. This tremor, it hasn't stopped since the beginning. The fighting outside must be fierce. It's alright. Chiro didn't look up, frowning at the machine before him. The land of whirlpools will win. Win? Hiko paused, then sighed, worriedly saying, those are the 5 great shinobi villages. What makes the land of whirlpools think they can win? They're far outnumbered in ninja alone. What are they going to rely on? Chakra cannons on the border? Those things are powerful, but they're too cumbersome to move. Too many limitations. Just the 5 great ninja villages. Chiro looked up, winked at his youngest daughter, and then smiled, saying, as long as you have absolute strength, you can win. Absolute strength? Hiko frowned, asking, what kind of strength can withstand an attack from the 5 great ninja villages? Chiro lowered his head again, fiddling with a machine in front of him, a mysterious smile on his face, and said, the strength of the god of the ninja world. That was the power that swept across the entire ninja world back then. He just didn't know what that kid was trying to do. Why didn't he just show his strength and intimidate the other ninja villages, instead of choosing to stir things up like this? But, he had already seen that kid's strength, so he was at ease. At this moment, he could still leisurely drink tea. He believed the daimyo of the land of whirlpools wouldn't let the land of whirlpools perish. You mean? Hiko's eyes widened upon hearing Chiro's words, then she nodded slightly, saying, no wonder. She had seen Prince Sun leisurely peeling an apple from Mikado in the obstetrics and gynecology department last time. But that's still a battlefield. Zizi sighed, Sasori, don't worry. Kaianlu smiled, saying helplessly, that brat isn't simple either. It's just, a Gundam? What kind of junk is that? So big, inconvenient to move around in, troublesome to operate, and the energy it consumes. It's practically as useless as a tank. Kaianlu shook his head helplessly. Sasori's armor is much more convenient, but that kid. He kept saying he could do it. I still haven't found a way. Could he be lying to him? Platoon leader, someone's coming on the waves. Hazen said, holding up his binoculars. Body flicker technique? Daring to come ashore alone? Is he here to die? I see him. Sasori nodded, saying seriously, that's not body flicker technique. Space-time ninjutsu? He frowned, looking at the blonde youth coming on the water. Once he throws a kune, he'll instantly teleport to the kune's location. The same space-time ninjutsu as Prince Sun? He was very familiar with this. Back then, his father planned to build mechas capable of instantaneous teleportation to improve the inconvenience of mech movement, and he had taken him to study Prince Sun's space-time ninjutsu, which seemed to be called the Flying Thunder God technique, an ninjutsu created by the second Hokage of Konoha. However, he hadn't expected that someone other than Prince Sun would actually learn such a difficult ninjutsu. He himself had tried to learn it, but, in the end, he hadn't succeeded. Therefore, he was very clear about his technique. Ignore him, Sasori said calmly, keep firing your cannons. This guy, he'd leave it to him. He wanted to see, just how capable this Konoha ninja was of coming alone. Then, he pulled out a scroll from his back and summoned, a chest armor, wrist guards, knee pads, a set of golden armor. As expected. Hygen sighed upon seeing Sasori's actions and the armor on the ground, saying, although this armor is not bad, it looks too low class to wear. He had to put it on himself. Sasori glared at Hygen and said, shut up. Still slacking off here? Get to work. Then, deftly, put on the armor he designed, piece by piece. So you were here. Jiraiya walked to Uzumaki-jun's side, sat down directly, and looked in the direction of the land of fire, saying, war is inevitable. Uzumaki-jun turned his head, glanced at Jiraiya indifferently, and said, the land of whirlpools did not want war, it was all initiated by your Konoha. The Uzumaki clan has always longed for peace. But you clearly have the power to stop all of this. Jiraiya looked at Uzumaki-jun seriously and said, why didn't you take action? Those are the 3 perfect sage techniques. This lazy brat definitely has the strength of a god of the ninja world. Take action? Uzumaki-jun, still holding his binoculars and perched on the hilltop, watched without turning his head. And then? Hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, Jiraiya opened his mouth, but finally sighed and said, "At least this way, war can be avoided." Avoid? Uzumaki-jun smiled disdainfully and said, "It just postpones the war again. When I'm not around, the war will break out again. The conflict between the land of whirlpools and the 5 great ninja villages is not something I, a mere individual, can mediate. Moreover, after training soldiers for so many years, it's always unsettling not to put them to the test. And with so many cannons, wouldn't it be a waste not to fire a few shots?" Jiraiya paused for a moment, then looked helplessly in the direction of the land of fire, muttering, "Is peace truly impossible in the ninja world?" Indeed. The land of whirlpools' communist system had already sealed its fate with the other ninja villages. The power of the god of shinobi. Jiraiya glanced at Uzumaki-jun and sighed inwardly. The first Hokage had also brought peace to the entire shinobi world with his unparalleled strength, but after his death, war still broke out. So, Jiraiya frowned, looking towards Konoha. How could the shinobi change this? "Don't worry," Uzumaki-jun said calmly, "peace will come. Only the path of righteousness could save the shinobi world." He firmly believed that. If not, he would show them with his fists. That's how tough he was. Perhaps. Jiraiya sighed, muttering, "The Great Toad Sage always wanted me to find the child of destiny, but I haven't seen the Great Toad Sage for years. I don't know what's happened to him." Then, he looked at Uzumaki-jun with a strange expression, as if, ever since this kid went to Mount Myaboku, the Great Toad Sage had been in seclusion. Why was that? "What are you looking at me for?" Uzumaki-jun put down his binoculars and looked at Jiraiya. "Aren't you really going to the battlefield?" "What would I do there?" Jiraiya hesitated for a moment, then said, "Aren't you afraid I'll intervene to help Konoha?" "Don't worry," Uzumaki-jun said nonchalantly, "I'll intervene then too." "Well, thank you so much. Alright, since that's the case." Jiraiya sighed and said, "I hope you'll show mercy. But your apprentice has already come ashore." Uzumaki-jun spread his hands and said, "Aren't you worried?" "Apprentice?" Jiraiya frowned and asked, "Yohiko, could it be Minato?" "Yes." Uzumaki-jun nodded and said helplessly, "That kid also knows space-time ninjutsu. If I intervene then." "Sorry." Jiraiya quickly stood up and said, "I'll stop him. That silly Minato. He already has a girlfriend, why is he still running around like that? Isn't he afraid that the 9th rank will remarry? It seems that as his master, I need to give him a proper talking to." Chapter 3, That's All. Chapter 332 Flying Thunder God Technique. Minato, holding a kunai, stared at the red-haired man in the flashy armor before him, and fell silent. What does this mean? Where are the 3 essential ninja items? Vest, mesh top, weapon pouch. None of them are there? Could it be? Minato's heart skipped a beat. Those with such unique attire were usually strong, like Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru. After joining the ranks of the legendary Sannin of Konoha, they rarely wore ordinary ninja gear. So, was this man also a strong ninja like Jiraiya? But, why is it all gold? Isn't he afraid of becoming a target? This color is too obvious. However, Sasori couldn't explain himself. After all, it was armor. It had to be made of a metal with excellent chakra conductivity so that he could control it at will through the chakra threads. It also couldn't be too heavy, as that would hinder movement, and it had to be sturdy. Only gleaming gold dust met the requirements, other metals were just not quite right. Therefore, this sink cloth was the result of his entire savings and 4 years of research and development. It was completely free of impurities, made entirely of gold dust. Of course, he had considered coating it with paint, but that would reduce chakra flow, making it a counterproductive move. Besides, it was so gleaming, even his mother said it looked great. Sasori's eyes narrowed. He couldn't afford to lose face now, as he represented the land of whirlpools. He said calmly, "Konoha ninja. Leave here. The land of whirlpools doesn't welcome you." These 5 great ninja villages were truly detestable. "Sorry." Minato, holding up his specially made kunai, squinted and said with a wry smile, "We've been ordered to hand over the rogue ninja to us, and Konoha will retreat immediately." As a ninja, he could only obey the Hokage's orders. But, Konoha retreat? Don't be ridiculous. What about the other ninja villages? Sasori curled his lip disdainfully, looking at Minato, and sneered, "How hypocritical. Besides, as a nation, if they hand over the people just because of a few words of condemnation, Why would any other rogue ninja join the land of whirlpools? You know how desperately the land of whirlpools is short of ninjas. The number of students enrolling each year is increasing, and the academy's educational resources are insufficient. Basically, one teacher has to teach 5 or 6 classes. And now they're forcing people out. It's a pipe dream. So, if they don't want to leave, they can stay here. Boom. Seeing the ninja from the land of whirlpools refusing to retreat, especially with a cannon fire resounding again, Minato could only cautiously throw a kunai at Sasori. Then, Sasori immediately used his armor to block the kunai, then released chakra threads to bind it. Whoosh! Instantly, 3 cylindrical objects emerged from behind the armor, aimed at the kunai. Seeing this, Minato's expression froze. What's going on? Shouldn't you have dodged the kunai yourself, then used Flying Thunder God technique to grab it from behind, and then used a Rasengan to knock it down and be done with it? Why did you suddenly use your armor to block it and hold on to the kunai? And, what are those cylindrical things that suddenly appeared behind you? Why are they gathering chakra? Anyway, Minato was terrified. There was a dangerous aura. It seems this person already knows the Flying Thunder God technique. Minato frowned as he looked at him, then looked around. Oh. The ocean. You are all water. If he threw out too many kunai, he'd probably sink to the bottom of the sea. But Minato dodged another barrage, turned to look at the fleet still swaying in the impact behind him, and sighed. He really had no choice but to act now. Then, he grabbed a handful of specially made kunai from his ninja tool pouch and threw them directly at Sasori. Sasori, seeing this, immediately activated his accelerator. Bang! A loud sound. His figure vanished from the spot. Seeing this, Minato quickly used the Flying Thunder God technique, caught a kunai, and was about to throw them forward again when Sasori suddenly appeared behind them, and a round hole about the size of a basketball suddenly appeared on his golden armor, instantly unleashing a powerful suction force. Minato was startled and immediately threw kunai to the side, moving away from the suction range. Body flicker technique? Minato breathed a sigh of relief, looking at Sasori, and muttered, no, it's even faster than body flicker technique. It's almost as fast as his Flying Thunder God technique. Even his eyes can't catch it. Looking at the 2 short tubes behind the flashy armor, accelerating through the power of a sudden burst of chakra, Minato frowned. Where did the land of whirlpools get so many strange bladed weapons? These things seem somewhat similar to the bladed gloves that the Akatsuki bought. Could it be a new invention of the Akatsuki? But, if there are too many of these armors, this mission doesn't seem so easy to complete. Then, looking at the kunai in his hand, he threw so many, and in the end, this was the only one he could save. He wondered if the Hokage would reimburse him. You know, this was a special kunai he bought with his savings over many years. It's 3 or 4 times more expensive than ordinary kunai. He took a deep breath. This is wartime, so he shouldn't think nonsense and quickly shake off other unimportant things from his mind. The environment here was too restrictive, limiting his abilities. He couldn't plant kunai all over the ground, nor could he inscribe jutsu seals in the sea. And, the person in front of him seemed to know the secret of his modified Flying Thunder God technique. What should he do? Minato gripped his kunai, then pulled another from his weapon pouch. He only had 5 left. Looking at Sasori, who wouldn't attack unless he attacked, and glancing at the large black hole in Sasori's chest and the short tube at his back, he had to find a way to destroy it all. But, how resistant was that thing? He quickly formed a hand seal. Shadow clone technique. 2 Minato Namakazes immediately appeared before him, and then Shuriken shadow clone technique. Instantly, a deluge of shuriken burst forth. Sasori frowned, watching this scene. There were quite a few shuriken this time, and most of them were shadow clones. He was familiar with these 2 ninjutsu, they were taught at the academy. It's just that, they disappear upon contact, the suction only changes the trajectory, and the range is simply too vast. But if he dodges and ignores them, wouldn't that give this blonde guy an opportunity? So, he can't dodge. Sasori raised his hands and said calmly, secret technique, infernal hellfire formation. Full power activated. 2 enormous flame spears shot out from his palms. Bang! Under the flames, the shuriken in front of him kept disappearing. However, Sasori suddenly widened his eyes. Transformation jutsu. A kunai suddenly transformed into blonde hair, and then Minato threw a secret-made kunai behind him. Damn it! Sasori quickly raised his flame spear and sprayed it at the secret-made Kune behind him. But, bang! Shadow clone. His expression changed drastically. Bang! Suddenly, a specially crafted Kune appeared behind him. Rasengan. Minato's expression was calm, the corners of his mouth slightly upturned, holding a dazzling Kune in his hand, and he smashed it directly down onto the acceleration tube. Chapter 1. Chapter 333 Suspicion. Kirigakure, Hidden Mist Village. Due to the failed invasion of the Land of Whirlpools last time, only one of Kirigakure's ships returned to the village, the rest were destroyed, severely weakening the fleet. Furthermore, the daimyo of the Land of Water was dissatisfied with the defeat, and Kirigakure hadn't received funding to recover. Therefore, this time they could only muster about 10 large ships. Lord Mizukage, the Mizukage's assistant said, looking at Minazuki Seagain, we can already see the Land of Whirlpools, we should be able to land in about 4 hours. The third Mizukage nodded calmly, saying, are Kurisuke Reiga and the others ready? They've already set off, the Mizukage's assistant replied, and, as you instructed, they haven't told anyone. Keep it a secret. The Mizukage stood up, walked to the deck, and looked towards the Land of Whirlpools, saying, Kirigakure must be prepared. Although this operation wasn't like the second Mizukage's, with the alliance of the 5 great ninja villages, and the Land of Whirlpools couldn't hide everyone like last time, so, victory for the 5 great ninja villages was practically guaranteed. However, the Land of Whirlpools cannot be judged by common sense. That brat was already a cage back then, so many years have passed, who knows how strong he will become? Moreover, since the Land of Whirlpools changed its leader, the Uzumaki Clan has changed. They are no longer the honest and simple Uzumaki Clan of the past. Since the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools dared to confront the 5 great shinobi villages, he must have some kind of backing. But, he doesn't know yet. Remember our purpose this time, the Mizukage said, closing his eyes and feeling the sea breeze. We absolutely must obtain the blueprints for that land reclamation machine and the airship. Their Land of Water is scattered with reefs and such. If they could obtain that machine, the Land of Water could definitely reclaim a continent larger than the Land of Fire. Therefore, although the main purpose this time is to arrest all the rogue ninja, the primary goal is to bring the land reclamation machine, the airship, and the remaining 2 ninja swords back to the village. Otherwise, after so many years, the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist will have become the 5 ninja swordsmen of the mist. It's been arranged, the Mizukage's assistant nodded, saying, Reiga and the others will be careful. He knew perfectly well what the Mizukage was worried about. Back then, wasn't the second Hokage also full of confidence, carrying the hopes of the entire village, and proudly setting sail for the Land of Whirlpools? He originally planned to cross the river head-on, but what happened? The Uzumaki Clan was too despicable. A series of cunning maneuvers. In the end, the second Hokage could only atone with his death, to prove that he, as Kage, hadn't done anything wrong, and that everything he did was for Kirigakure. Mizuki Seiichi nodded slightly, a smile appearing on his lips, and said, since that's the case. Before he could finish speaking, boom! A loud explosion rang out. The only advantage of the 5 great shinobi villages alliance was that it dispersed the forces of the Land of Whirlpools. Uzumaki-jun sighed and put down his binoculars. The Kirigakure troops also arrived. If the Land of Whirlpools were given a few more years, it certainly wouldn't fear the 5 great shinobi villages, but time is still too short. From the Land of Whirlpools reforms until now, it's only been a short decade or so. He wouldn't follow that old schemer Hirozen Sarutobi's example and send young children to the battlefield. What use would those kids be? Fresh out of the 3 body techniques, going to the battlefield, they'd either be able to shout 666, or be cannon fodder. Hirozen Sarutobi was selecting true strongmen. Only those who survived the battlefield would have the opportunity to receive his will of fire teachings. But for the Land of Whirlpools, these students are the hope of the future. Perhaps there are only a few true geniuses, but they don't all need to be elite Jonin level. Jinan or Chunin level strength is sufficient. There will be suitable positions in the Land of Whirlpools, whether it's manual labor or bricklaying, it doesn't require excessive strength. The Land of Whirlpools is truly lacking in labor, especially ninja labor. This is why many rogue ninjas of the Jinan level or wandering ninjas come to the Land of Whirlpools. After all, earning merit here is better than risking their lives on missions. Did you see how well the Four Tails Jinchuriki did? So, Why become cannon fodder when you can stay alive to build your country? Besides, even if they don't have ninja talent, they might be scientific geniuses. They can always find a suitable place for themselves. Uzumaki-jun sighed, picked up his binoculars again, looked at the battlefield on the land of fire side, and murmured, truly worthy of Minato. Even in such a harsh environment, he managed to find a way to escape. Now all he needs to do is land. Once landed, the powerful flying thunder god technique can unleash its true power. After all, Sasori's sneaky fighting style did have a significant advantage in the ocean. He just needs to keep an eye on the specially made kunai. And Minato can't use the heavenly maiden scattering flowers technique in the ocean. So, he just needs to keep an eye on the kunai floating in the air. Sasori stared grimly at Minato running towards the land of whirlpools. He hadn't expected to be tricked. It was too deliberate. He'd only focused on the secret kunai and ignored the blonde-haired man. He'd thought he could just follow the trajectory of the kunai, but this Konoha blonde had actually used this method to deceive him. The blonde man who threw the secret kunai towards the land of whirlpools wasn't the real one. The real one had secretly slipped behind him and used the Rasengan while his attention was drawn to the shuriken shadow clone technique and the secret kunai behind him. Damn it! Sasori said, his face ashen. Then, he activated the super light heavy rock technique engraved on his armor and chased after Minato. Thinking about anything else now was useless. This blonde-haired man was definitely not an ordinary ninja. He had to stop him here. Otherwise, once he reached the shore, no one might be able to stop him, especially with the flying thunder god technique. He could inscribe jetsu seals everywhere on the shore, making it difficult to catch anyone. Setting up the small cannons behind him, miniature chakra cannons continuously fired at him, intending to disrupt him and slow him down. That thing. Minato dodged a cannonball, frowned, and muttered, a miniature Rasengan? Just like the things constantly being fired at the fleet, only smaller. The power was also considerably reduced. Ah, I see. Minato seemed to understand what was blocking their fleet's advance. It seems there should be larger cylinders on the shore. He just wondered how many of these were in the land of whirlpools? Why hadn't he seen them when purchasing weapons from Akatsuki? Or rather, why didn't Akatsuki sell them these? Could it be? Minato's heart skipped a beat. Looking at the land of whirlpools, he murmured, I hope I'm wrong. Although his heart was filled with doubt, there was no time to go back and ask. He should hurry to get ashore, destroy everything on the shore, and then think about other things. Otherwise, Konoha would be in danger this time. Chapter 2. Chapter 334 Destroyed. How interesting. White Zetsu remarked, watching the cannons firing in the land of whirlpools. I never imagined the land of whirlpools would have something like this. And those guys strutting around in the sky. How are these things even made? Did you see that brat from the land of whirlpools? Black Zetsu asked casually, narrowing his eyes. Where is he now? I didn't see him. White Zetsu shook his head. My White Zetsu clone said the land of whirlpools is deserted right now, everyone's staying home and hasn't come out. As for that red-haired brat, he doesn't seem to be in his office. Where's Uchiha Madara? Black Zetsu asked. Can you contact Tobi? If there's a chance, they could take the opportunity to retrieve the Rinnegan. But, after all these years, how much has Uchiha Madara's strength declined? I didn't get close there. White Zetsu helplessly spread his hands. I'm worried about being discovered. And, that villa seems to have been renovated, becoming even more beautiful and luxurious. What an annoying idiot. Why is it that Tobi, also a White Zetsu, can live in such a nice house, while they have to hide and run? Sigh. Black Zetsu sighed, his eyes flickering as he looked at the allied forces from the land of fire, muttering, if only we could really destroy the land of whirlpools. But they could only dream about it. That brat, instead of running around causing trouble at a time like this, must be very confident, otherwise, the ninja world would probably have a few more legendary ninja swords now. It's just, such an annoying feeling. If it weren't for that brat, Lord Madara would have already gone back to the cave with them, ready to realize his great dream of rescuing his mother. Keep the White Zetsu clones watching, Black Zetsu said, narrowing his eyes, if there's an opportunity to stir things up and weaken the land of whirlpool's strength. Understood. White Zetsu nodded and said, I will give the orders. Damn it. Hygen shouted, that Konoha ninja has shaken off platoon leader Sasori and is about to go ashore. He hadn't expected platoon leader Sasori to be so strong. Even in armor, he couldn't defeat this blonde-haired guy. It seemed they had to prepare. Someone who could outmaneuver platoon leader Sasori was definitely not an ordinary ninja. Attention! Hygen shouted, someone take over the artillery positions. Mechanical department, get your armor on quickly. They couldn't retreat no matter what. Because, behind them, were the people of the land of whirlpools. They wouldn't let any enemy in until they were all down. This distance, Minato said, looking at the approaching land of whirlpools, it's about time. Then, he quickly threw out his secret-made kunai, intending to reach the shore in one fell swoop and quickly destroy the cylinders. He had already seen them. The shore was indeed covered with cylinders, similar to the small cylinders behind the golden-armored, red-haired youth, only much larger. But, there were quite a few. He had to destroy them all quickly, otherwise being surrounded would be troublesome. And, the fleet behind him was waiting for him. He glanced at the red-haired youth relentlessly pursuing him, dodging a small Rasengan. Then, whoosh! He used the Flying Thunder God technique to advance a little further. Looking at the land of whirlpools so close, Minato roughly estimated the distance, took out 3 secret-made kunai, and threw them in 3 different directions. Then continued wading through the water. Then, Flying Thunder God technique. He reached the shore. Half crouching, touching the sand and stones on the shore, Minato squinted at the people around him. Quite a few. About 100, but most were Jinan. It wasn't a big problem, he just needed to destroy the cannons. But, 30 cannons? Were there about 30 of those Rasengan cannons around here? Although wading through water for such a long distance and using the Flying Thunder God technique had left Minato a little out of breath, this was his territory now. He swiftly threw his secret recipe kunai at a cannon in front of him. Rasengan. A single kunai shattered the cannon. Instantly, everyone reacted and swarmed forward, but Minato threw his secret recipe kunai at the next cannon. As the group rushed towards the kunai, Flying Thunder God technique, Minato appeared before they reached the shore and threw the remaining 2 kunai. Rasengan. Another cannon was destroyed. The Uzumaki ninja realized they'd been tricked and quickly surrounded the remaining 2 kunai. And in that instant, Flying Thunder God technique, Minato appeared directly in the crowd, kicking people aside. Then he destroyed more cannons. These people weren't as strong as the red-haired youth from before. Although some were wearing armor, they still couldn't keep up with his movements. So, kick, Rasengan, knockback. Instantly, many people from the land of whirlpools were lying on the ground, and, by the time Sasori reached the shore, more than a dozen cannons had already been destroyed. Damn it! Seeing this, Sasori roared and rushed forward, shouting, everyone, throw all the kunai on the ground over here. Only 3. Just crouching down with these 3 would be enough to limit the range of the Flying Thunder God technique. Seeing this, Minato frowned, but ignored him, and used the Flying Thunder God technique again, appearing directly on a destroyed cannon platform, not where the 3 kunai were. Destroy all the jutsu seals on the ruins. Sasori immediately understood, this blonde guy had actually inscribed jutsu seals on every destroyed cannon platform. He quickly shouted, hurry up and do it. Sure enough, this kind of space-time ninjutsu is really annoying. We have to find a way to limit this blonde guy's space. But, one gate after another. In just a short while, Minato destroyed 5 more gates. He didn't fight the ninjas from the land of whirlpools at all, but quickly and neatly shook them off, and then directly destroyed the chakra cannons with a Rasengan. So, each time the Uzumaki ninja reached a cannon, they would inspect it for any strange jutsu seals and destroy them, constantly compressing Minato's space. Just as Minato felt the jutsu seals decreasing and the space shrinking, and was about to make a move to open a path, Minato. A familiar voice rang out. Looks like Minato succeeded. Orochimaru licked his lips, feeling the cannon fire gradually decrease, a meaningful smile appearing on his lips, muttering, truly worthy of that idiot's apprentice. That strange Rasengan, from 1 round every 2 minutes to 1 round every 5 or 6 minutes now, and the number decreasing, meant, move out. It was time to act. Although the impact destroyed 3 ships, there were no deaths. It's just, some people got seasick. The fleets of the 3 great ninja villages began to accelerate again. Kakashi, Rin, and the other 2 exchanged strange glances. Minato-sensei actually succeeded. Could it really lead to a fight? Could it be that because of the war, Jiraiya-sama and Tsunade-sama had left? If it's true, they breathed a sigh of relief. This is good, otherwise, with Jiraiya and Tsunade both in the land of whirlpools, how could a war be fought? Chapter 3, that's all. I didn't expect a new patron to appear. Thanks Trat, from now on, no one will call me anymore for the donation. Chapter 335, the play. When you see yourself surrounded, and then your teammates suddenly appear, what's your first thought? Don't be a coward, just fight. That's right, that was Minato's first thought upon seeing Jiraiya. He hadn't seen Jiraiya for years, and now he was appearing on the battlefield. Tears welled up instantly. Jiraiya still loved Konoha. His sudden appearance in the land of whirlpools during the war meant he was definitely protecting Konoha from behind the scenes. So, without hesitation, Minato appeared beside Jiraiya, about to share his battle plan, a quick victory, taking the Uchiha clan away to minimize casualties. But then, Jiraiya smiled and nodded, then patted the head of his toad-like servant, Gamabunta, and suddenly, he was bound. What was he trying to do? Why was Jiraiya suddenly binding him? Did he have some kind of battle plan? Just as Minato was about to ask, I'm taking him away. Jiraiya smiled at Sasori and said, I guarantee he will never appear on the battlefield again. Upon hearing this, Minato froze, staring at Jiraiya-sensei in disbelief. His most respected teacher, the teacher who loved Konoha the most, had actually betrayed the village. Had Jiraiya-sensei betrayed the village? A tremor ran through him. Why? Minato took a deep breath, looking calmly at Jiraiya-sensei, desperately hoping to hear him say, No, I didn't, I love Konoha. But Jiraiya sighed, looking at Minato with relief, then paused for a moment and said, Minato, you don't understand. I'll explain to you later. There's a powerful figure watching. If this continues, Minato, you'll become a hero of Konoha. Even a 9th rank official will have to remarry your child. Oh, Minato doesn't have any children yet. Explain? Minato was stunned by Jiraiya-sensei's words. He couldn't understand what reason could justify betraying the ninja village he loved most. Or rather, no reason is an excuse for betrayal. So, just as Jiraiya was about to take him away, whoosh! Minato suddenly disappeared from Gamabunta's tongue. I don't know what reason Jiraiya-sensei has. Minato, holding a kunai in his hand, secretly made a jutsu seal when he appeared on the shore, and looked at Jiraiya-sensei calmly, saying, But I am a Konoha ninja. He absolutely cannot stand by and watch a Konoha ninja be harmed. Everyone looked at Minato, who had suddenly escaped his bonds, and he even had a jutsu seal. Especially Jiraiya, who didn't expect Minato to secretly make a jutsu seal when he came ashore. He felt a surge of emotion. As expected of someone who has mastered the Flying Thunder God technique. His mind is so meticulous. But I percent at? Jiraiya looked at Minato speechlessly, and was about to go up and tie him up again. Leave here. The legendary Sannin of Konoha. Sasori blocked Jiraiya's way and said calmly, This is the war of the land of whirlpools. They don't need to rely on others. Although he didn't know why Prince Sun was doing this, why they had only sent so few people, or rather, why the elite Jonin hadn't appeared yet. Lord Zemu, Lord G still hadn't arrived. But this was a war for the land of whirlpools. They didn't need Konoha's ninjas to help. Even though he was a teacher at the Whirlpool Academy, he was still one of Konoha's legendary Sannin. And he refused to believe that the Whirlpool ninjas couldn't capture this Konoha ninja on their own. So, Sasori led the remaining Whirlpool ninjas forward. The honor of the land of whirlpools would be protected by the soldiers of the land of whirlpools. However, just as Minato dodged the charging Whirlpool ninjas and was about to destroy another chakra cannon, a red figure suddenly appeared in front of Minato. Minato quickly retreated, intending to dodge with a spinning kick, when another figure appeared behind him. Then, after a series of actions, he discovered he couldn't use his chakra anymore. It's been a long time. Uzumaki-jun smiled at Minato and said, Minato. It's you. Minato stared at Uzumaki-jun in shock, then calmed down and said softly, I'm sorry. He hadn't expected the daimyo of the land of whirlpools to appear here. He sighed bitterly. He had received a great favor from him back then, and now. Before he could finish speaking. Kid, Minato, he. Jiraiya frowned and walked over, opening his mouth as if to say something, if you. Finally, he sighed, unsure of what to say. This was war, after all. But if there was any real danger, Jiraiya would put his hands behind his back and do everything in his power to protect Minato. Uzumaki-jun patted Minato's shoulder, looked at Jiraiya, and smiled. Don't be nervous. He beckoned Sasori over. Lord Jun. Sasori sighed, hesitated for a moment, and said, I'm sorry. We let the enemy land. It seemed their equipment needed an upgrade. Whether it's a chakra cannon or something else. I'll discuss it with Dad later about how to improve it. It's already pretty good. Uzumaki soon looked at the ninja lying on the ground, and the ninja who insisted on standing up, nodded, and said, this space-time ninjutsu is indeed a bit buggy. It seems Minato held back, only knocking the person down and not killing them. Indeed, this ninjutsu can be said to make anyone evenly matched once they learn it, unless 600 billion explosive tags cover their entire range of movement, or they capture their family members to threaten them, then it's impossible to harm them. Otherwise, if they can't beat them, they can run away. Why did Ob kill Minato? Probably because with Minato around, Konoha will eventually unify the ninja world. And at this moment, Zimu, and Hibiki also appeared. Uzumaki-jun waved his hand, beckoning Hibiki over and whispering a few words in her ear. Then, under everyone's gaze, Hibiki nodded with a strange expression and said, understood. I'll arrange it. She then walked to Minato's side, looking at him expressionlessly. Come with me. Minato shook his head with a wry smile, glanced at Uzumaki-jun, and said, could you tell me what you're taking me to? His chakra was sealed, and there were so many ninjas here, including the daimyo of the land of whirlpools who also knew space-time ninjutsu. How could he possibly escape? Don't worry, Uzumaki-jun said, narrowing his eyes, I just want you to contribute to the peace of the ninja world. So, don't worry. Seeing this, Jiraiya also breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed Uzumaki-jun didn't intend to harm Minato. Although he didn't know what he wanted Minato for, since he wasn't going to kill Minato now, he wouldn't make a move later. Because he didn't need to go through all that trouble. Uzumaki soon ignored Jiraiya, touched the chakra cannon beside him, looked at Sasori, and asked, how many were destroyed? 24. Although Sasori didn't know what Lord Sun was planning, he honestly nodded and said, a total of 24 chakra cannons were destroyed. Crack. Uzumaki soon directly used a Rasengan to smash a nearby chakra cannon, saying, and now. Sasori immediately nodded in understanding, and said righteously, 25. I misspoke earlier, a total of 25 were destroyed by Konoha ninjas. However, sigh. Uzumaki soon sighed. People who study science and engineering are still too honest. You miscalculated. Uzumaki soon looked at Sasori seriously. It's 250. Write it down, report it to Hibiki later. As a victorious nation, asking for some compensation isn't unreasonable. Jiraiya's face stiffened upon hearing this. This kid. In the end, he sighed and said nothing. The old man. I'm sorry. As for Sasori, he nodded shamefully. He was still too young. I'm sorry, I've always been bad at math, he said, looking at Uzumaki-jun with shame. I almost caused a major loss for the country. That's right. It was 250 subjects. He had miscalculated. He needed to brush up on his math after the war, otherwise, constantly making mistakes couldn't go on. Uzumaki soon nodded in satisfaction, then, taking advantage of Jiraiya's unpreparedness, he pressed 5 fingers directly into Jiraiya's abdomen, saying, you'd better not get involved in what happens next. Jiraiya felt his chakra being sealed, and his expression changed instantly. He exclaimed, what do you want to do? This is ultimately war, Uzumaki soon said calmly, looking at the approaching fleets of the 3 great ninja villages. War will kill people. He waved his hand, ignoring Jiraiya's curses, and had the others take him away. The rest is up to you, Uzumaki soon said, looking at Zimu. I'll hold off the cage of the other ninja villages. The rest was now the domain of the land of whirlpools. Then, he used Flying Thunder God technique to return to the original mountain peak, and said to his clone. Recorded everything, right? Chapter 1. Chapter 336 The Modern History of the Uzumaki Clan. It's all recorded. Uzumaki soon's clone nodded, took out a camera, handed it over, and said, Konoha's yellow flash single-handedly confronts the land of whirlpool's forces, angrily rebuking the legendary Sannin to protect Konoha. I recorded every second. That's good. Uzumaki soon's lips curled up slightly, revealing a mysterious smile, and said, We can promote it later. This was Minato's hope to become Hokage. As for Jiraiya's betrayal of the village in the video, he could only apologize. This was truly an accident. Think about why Minato died back then. Why didn't many Anbu appear when the Nine Tails attacked? It's probably related to the Uchiha clan. Back when Minato hadn't become Hokage, he arranged to meet Fugaku on the rooftop and said to him with deep emotion, "The day I become Hokage will be the day the Uchiha clan returns to the upper echelons. However, anyone who mediates between the Uchiha and Konoha must die. Just look at Shisu, who made great contributions to Konoha." This successor of the Will of Fire also had his eyes gouged out because of the Uchiha clan. He only met Hiruzen Sarutobi on the rooftop, saying he didn't want to be an Anbu anymore and wanted to find a solution to the conflict between the Uchiha and Konoha. The old monkey agreed, saying, "If you get into trouble, just mention my name." But unexpectedly, the moment he stepped out the door, before he even had a chance to say his name, his eyes were gouged out. Uzumaki-jun absolutely doesn't believe the old monkey wasn't behind this. Who delivered Kushina's baby in the anime? It was the old monkey's wife, Biwako Sarutobi, and his childhood friend, Kahoru Utatane. She was kicked by a Bido and immediately fell unconscious, only reappearing after the Nine Tails incident. And Konoha was utterly destroyed by the Nine Tails, yet Hiruzen Sarutobi didn't show up. Tisk tisk. I can't think about it anymore, or I'll betray Konoha's glorious image. Next comes the publicity, Uzumaki soon muttered, stroking his chin. This kind of thing. He suddenly looked up, squinting at a direction in the land of fire. Let's leave it to the professionals. Did they really think I wouldn't notice if they secretly let a white Zetsu clone in? How naive. Uzumaki-sun's lips curled into a slight smile. I miss you, Black Zetsu. Achoo, achoo. Black Zetsu rubbed his nose, muttering, why do I suddenly feel a chill? Is something big about to happen? I felt it too. White Zetsu nodded, saying seriously, maybe we should just slip away. This feeling was all too familiar. Every time. Thinking of this, White Zetsu seemed to sense something, quickly turned around, and immediately, seeing the figure that suddenly appeared behind him, his face stiffened, and he chuckled, saying, I don't think I had breakfast this morning, Black Zetsu, let's go back and have breakfast first. Okay. Black Zetsu nodded seriously, saying, I am a little hungry. He felt it too. It's that brat. Is this the end? How did he suddenly appear here? Is that so? Uzumaki soon smiled at Black Zetsu and said, in that case, why not take me with you? I'm a little hungry too. Damn it. Who wants to take you with him? We don't want to see you at all. Black Zetsu turned his head helplessly and said, what do you want to do? At the same time, his feet were slowly sinking down, ready to run away if things went wrong. Don't be nervous. Uzumaki soon glanced at Black Zetsu's feet and said, I just need your help with something. That line again. Can I not help? White Zetsu said cautiously, we've been very busy lately. What do you think? Uzumaki soon smiled, his eyes narrowed. It's just a small thing, don't refuse, trust me. I'm a kind person, I absolutely can't bear to see such a tragedy as a mother and child being separated. Speak. Black Zetsu sighed inwardly. This brat really knew something. He said helplessly, what do you need me to do this time? It's time for our organization to step in. Seeing Black Zetsu's attitude, Uzumaki soon nodded in satisfaction and said, this is all for the peace of the ninja world. Trust you. And the Goddess Alliance isn't yours. Black Zetsu looked at Uzumaki soon seriously and said, that's Mom's. No. Uzumaki soon shook his head, narrowed his eyes, and looked at him threateningly, saying, it's ours. You clearly didn't say that back then. This organization was forced on me by you. But seeing the dangerous look in Uzumaki soon's eyes, Black Zetsu could only grit his teeth and say, you're right. So, just say what you want to say. Damn it. Lord Zemu. Sasori looked at Zemu beside him, frowning, and said, what should we do next? Clearly, as long as they blocked that blonde guy, they could stop their advance with a chakra cannon, so why did Prince soon let people in? And, although Lord Zemu and Lord G have come, their numbers are still too few compared to the 3 great ninja villages. Don't worry. Zemu patted Sasori's shoulder and said with a smile, you've done very well. Most of the troops Sasori led were new recruits, who had never been on the battlefield, or even seen blood. It was already very good that they could remain calm and follow orders to attack. He didn't know what Prince Sun was thinking. Why not just end the war? Watching the wounded being slowly carried away, Zimu sighed. Was this training a success or a failure? Do you know why the Uzumaki clan was able to win despite being at a disadvantage in World War I? Zimu looked at Sasori and said calmly, you should have learned about it in the modern history class at the academy. The wise leadership of Prince Sun and the united efforts of the people of the land of whirlpools? Sasori squinted and said, it was on the exam back then. That answer was simple. It was something that needed to be tested every month. Yes. Zimu looked at Sasori with a strange expression and said, the wise leadership of Prince Sun and the Uzumaki clans. Shadow clone technique, and explosive tags. Kirigakure. Muksun looked at the Kirigakure fleet and said, they don't seem to be in a hurry. They can't be in a hurry even if they want to. Uchiha Itachi nodded and said calmly, dozens of chakra cannons are aimed at them, the impact of the ninjutsu is enough for them to handle. Just a mere Mizukage. Would he dare to run away? If he ran away, what would become of the fleet? But the Mizuki and Kaguya clans alone could have held out, Mushinshu said, frowning. That Mizukage has been gone for so long, why hasn't he made any other moves? What is he planning to do? Hearing Mushinshu's analysis, Uchiha K frowned and pondered for a moment. Indeed, if they continued to drag this out, Kirigakure would undoubtedly lose. As a Kage, he couldn't possibly be that stupid. So, what is he planning to do? Then, he activated the 3-tomo. This is. K suddenly widened his eyes and looked into the sea. 5 chakra veins were moving. He immediately shouted, enemy attack. Chapter 2. That's all. I have to go out this afternoon and don't know when I'll be back. I'll update early. Chapter 337. This is for your own good. As expected. Once the artillery fire ceased, the fleets of the 3 great ninja villages immediately reached the shore. Where's Minato? Orochimaru frowned, looking at the ruins on the shore, littered with wrecked metal and cannon barrels. And where are the ninjas from the land of whirlpools? Where did they all go? A sense of unease washed over him. Especially Kakashi and Rin. What was going on? Minato-sensei should be waiting for them here. Where did he go? Had Jiraiya taken him away? But, why weren't the ninjas from the land of whirlpools there either? Just as the ninjas from the 3 great villages reached the shore. Whoosh! Countless whirlpool ninjas rushed out, forming hand seals. Explosive tags. Damn it! Explosive tags. The third Kazekage, seeing this, immediately shouted, take cover. His words had barely left his lips. Boom! A violent explosion followed, accompanied by flashes of light. Dust release, particle-style magnetic release, earth release. All the ninjas used their defensive ninjutsu to resist the explosive tag's attack. Soon, the dust settled. Looking at the huge hole created by the explosive tags, Zimu sighed inwardly, muttering, as expected, the damage this time wasn't as severe as last time. After all 3 major ninja villages were here, unlike last time when only the second Mizukage was here. Attack. Zimu said calmly, shadow clone technique. Before they could react, he quickly dealt with them. However, attack. Anoki floated in midair, also speaking calmly, remember your mission. A Kage should have the demeanor of a Kage. For example, looking at the Kazekage beside him, and Orochimaru representing Konoha. They were all waiting for the daimyo of Uzumaki, that legendary, youngest Kage. This is the unspoken rule of the shinobi world war. Unless forced into it, the Kage of a village generally stays behind to watch the ninja war below. Otherwise, the Kage's strength is too great, the slightest mistake could cause enormous losses. Therefore, for the safety of the ninjas of each village, soldier against soldier, general against general is the unspoken rule on the battlefield. They've arrived? Orochimaru licked his lips, squinting at the red-haired youth also floating in the air, and said with a smile, the daimyo of the land of whirlpools. The situation wasn't too bad. Uzumaki-jun looked at the ninjas below. Although the number of ninjas from the land of whirlpools was not large, the explosive tags and shadow clones were still effective. Especially the armor invented by Sasori, which was both offensive and defensive, basically a battlefield reaper against ordinary jonin. Then, that old monkey didn't come. Uzumaki-jun sighed in disappointment. Sure enough, there's a reason he lived so long. That old monkey probably thought about this every day. He can't die, He absolutely can't die. If he dies, the next Hokage will definitely confiscate the Sarutobi clan's assets to protect his children, then spread rumors to make everyone unaware of who his children and grandchildren are. At the same time, to avoid suspicion from enemies in other villages, he'll have to constantly smear them and send them to orphanages, feeding them expired food and receiving meager allowances. After all, he must have offended many people back then, and when he dies, someone will definitely seek revenge. The next Hokage is doing all this for his children's good. Otherwise, what if his grandchildren are killed by former enemies? So he can't die. As long as he lives, his son and grandchildren will have nannies at home, bodyguards when they go out, private tutors in school, and a bunch of sycophants following behind, shouting, "Young Master XXX, you can't die. You have the potential to become Kage, you can't die here like us, so run." Only elite education can guarantee that one of his descendants will become Hokage. Of course, these are all just guesses from Uzumaki-jun. To be honest, he really didn't want to think this way, but seeing Konohamaru's and Naruto's living conditions, he wanted to point at the old monkey's face and yell, "Why do you have so many ideas?" Sure enough, being able to survive for so long is a skill in itself. If Orochimaru hadn't suddenly launched the Konoha Crush, the old monkey could probably have led Naruto to fight Madara. As for the Tsuchika Jinoki, that's because he can fly, knows dust release, and is old and no one has invaded the ninja villages, so he's been able to live so long. Uzumaki-jun narrowed his eyes at the representatives of the various villages before him and said calmly, "The 5 great ninja villages. How shameless. HMPH. Anoki snorted coldly, looking at the daimyo of Uzashigakure before him, and said, "As long as Uzashigakure returns the rogue ninjas of each village and compensates for the losses of this war, Iwagakure will definitely withdraw. If not..." Anoki looked at Uzumaki-jun with the air of an old senior. Damn it. Not only is his nose big, but his face is this big too? Uzumaki soon chuckled and said, "You really think you've got this in the bag? He's a powerhouse capable of taking on 100,000 ninjas. So, Rasengan." Uzumaki soon called out to Orochimaru, who had been grinning and staring at him. That look was disgusting. "Rashomon." Orochimaru paused for a moment, then immediately used the summoning jutsu. Seriously, he hadn't said anything. Why was he being attacked? However, space-time ninjutsu. Orochimaru's expression changed drastically as he watched Uzumaki soon suddenly disappear. Boom. Uzumaki soon reappeared behind Orochimaru, unleashing a Rasengan, but Earth substitution jutsu, crack. It was actually a substitution jutsu made of earth. Hidden shadow snake hands. A cold voice, like someone being stared at by a snake, came from behind. Uzumaki-jun quickly vanished using the Flying Thunder God technique, and then Fire Release, Dragon Fire technique. A massive flame erupted from his mouth and surged towards Orochimaru. Triple Rashomon. Orochimaru frowned, cast a summoning jutsu, and shouted. Something seems off. It seems, their strength isn't as high as he'd anticipated. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes, a thought suddenly occurring to him, and then, "Come help me quickly," he yelled at the Tsuchikage and Kazekage, who were watching the scene unfold. These two Kage actually wanted to sit back and watch the fight? Don't even dream about it. Earth Release, Rock Golem. The Tsuchikage frowned, observing the daimyo's attack style for a while, and muttered, "It seems different from what I expected." Although their strength hadn't exceeded his expectations, space-time ninjutsu was still quite disgusting. So, Magnet Release, Iron Sand Rain. The third Kazekage, also preparing for a swift victory, shouted, "Surround him with space." Hearing the third Kazekage's words, Uzumaki-jun narrowed his eyes. Surround him with space? Was he trying to die too slowly? He was only taking his time to capture a scientist capable of creating Gundams, and to wait a little longer. After all, these ninjas below could already see that the bladed weapons the village chief bought for them were completely useless here. Sigh. Looks like he'll have to change his identity and sell equipment from now on. The name Pain will probably be everywhere by then. And, did he really think that after all these years, his strength hadn't improved? Now, it should end. He had to rush to the eastern battlefield. The situation there seemed a bit off. Chapter 1. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338 Taijutsu Ninja. Stop him. Upon hearing the cries for reinforcements from the Land of Water's battlefield, Zicheng rushed over. Seeing Uchiha Itachi and Mushin Kijima locked in combat, he shouted, "We absolutely cannot let them enter the inland. The inland areas are full of civilians. If ninjas enter, it will undoubtedly cause serious casualties and losses for the country. So, it absolutely cannot." However, the Land of Whirlpool's main force is currently focused on the Land of Fire's battlefield. Relying on these ninjas to fight against the numerous ninjas of Kirigakure is truly troublesome. Watching the Whirlpool ninjas constantly having their lives raped, Zicheng felt a surge of anger and rushed towards a Kirigakure ninja who was killing and howling. He saw two lightning-infused ninja swords in the man's hands. Kurasuke Reiga. Zicheng's eyes narrowed. He hadn't expected that the one who had come ashore was one of the famous 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. Although his strength was far inferior to the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, he would not retreat. Because this is the meaning of his joining the army, the meaning of all his hard training. He absolutely will not let any enemy in. Ah! Zicheng roared, "Everyone else retreat, continue firing at Kirigakure. The Kirigakure ninjas absolutely cannot be allowed to land." How? Looking at the suddenly appearing Uzumaki ninja in front of him, Kurasuke Reiga sneered, "A pure taijutsu ninja? He's really courting death. He wields the Rado Kiba, how can he resist the lightning on it with just taijutsu?" So, Kurasuke Reiga kept swinging his twin swords, and Zicheng carefully dodged with his body. He couldn't launch an attack at all. Sizzle. Suddenly, Reiga slashed a gash on Zicheng's right arm. "Captain Zicheng." Muxinshu panicked upon seeing this and shouted, "It's alright." Zicheng took a step back, looked at the smiling Kurasuke Reiga in front of him, frowned, and said, "Don't worry about me. Looks like he can't keep up with his speed. Is this the strength of an elite ninja?" Zicheng clenched his fists. No matter how much he trained, he couldn't break through. He had already reached the limit of his taijutsu. Zicheng shook his head with a bitter smile. He remembered what Madara had said that day. "Grandpa Madara, my body has reached its limit." Unable to break through any further, he went to ask Grandpa Madara if there was any way. But Grandpa Madara glanced at him disdainfully, then closed his eyes, saying nothing. Just as Zicheng thought Grandpa Madara didn't know either, and was about to turn away in disappointment. "The human body has its limits," Grandpa Madara said calmly, his eyes closed, "but ninjutsu has no limits. You have already reached the limits a person should have. If you continue, your body will only suffer internal injuries, and you will not be able to break through." "Then how can I break through?" Zicheng asked, frowning. "No matter how I train now, I can't improve. In fact, if I increase the training, my muscles will sting and feel weak." Because of this, he had been to the hospital several times and was told that if he continued like this, he would eventually become paralyzed. "I don't know either," Madara said expressionlessly, looking at the expectant Zicheng. "I advise you not to become a ninja. Otherwise, if you continue, you will only be a piece of trash." Uchiha Madara was a genius. How could he know the training methods for trash? Zicheng heard this, clenched his fists, and a look of disappointment crossed his face. He murmured, "Do I really have to give up? Does being unable to use ninjutsu mean I can't become a strong person? All my years of hard work, what was it all for?" Just when Uchiha Madara thought he was about to give up. "I won't be disappointed." Zicheng suddenly raised his head and shouted, "I will definitely become a true strong person." Looking at Uchiha Madara, his eyes were filled with determination. "Then I will tell Grandpa Madara. Even without ninjutsu, you can still become a true strong person." Then, without looking back, he rushed out. He could do it. Idiot. Madara opened his eyes, watching Zicheng's departing figure, and said indifferently, "What an idiot. But maybe it really is possible." Still daydreaming? Just as Zicheng was recalling, Kurasuke Reiga suddenly appeared beside him, sneering, "Do you want me to prepare your funeral?" Then, PFFT. Zicheng quickly performed a spinning back kick, intending to dodge the ninja sword's attack. Lightning release, Reiga. A bolt of lightning appeared. Sizzle. A flash. Zicheng looked at his slashed chest. Fortunately, the injury wasn't serious, otherwise he probably wouldn't be able to move now. But the paralysis from the lightning. Zijin still couldn't move. Now let me hold your funeral. Kurisuke Rege looked at Zijin in front of him and said with a smile, a useless taijutsu ninja. He didn't even want to know the name of such a useless ninja. So, just die. Useless? Zijin shook his head with a bitter smile and said, you're right. He had always been useless. As the paralysis slowly wore off, Rege Kurisuke drew ever closer. This time, it might really be the end. Watching this, Shiki's heart calmed. Ever since he became a ninja, his fate had probably been sealed. Could a pure taijutsu-based ninja truly not become a strong man? A wave of disappointment washed over Shiki, but it's over. Rege Kurisuke had reached him, raising his Rege Kiba, and said calmly, don't worry, I'll hold a funeral for the others later. The words had barely left his lips. He had promised Madara. I will. Shiki's eyes snapped open, roaring, I will definitely become a strong man. Just as Rege's blade struck, Shiki's speed seemed to increase. He quickly executed a backflip kick, then a backflip to dodge. This. Rege Kurisuke gripped his sword, frowning as he muttered, his strength and speed have suddenly increased? But he's still just a piece of trash. Trash? Murasaki stared blankly at Rege Kurisuke, sensing the changes in his body. He seemed to have found the path forward. But now wasn't the time to get excited. Feeling his comrades falling one after another around him. Ninjas of Kirigakure. Murasaki quickly suppressed his excitement, looking at Rege Kurisuke and saying calmly, the land of whirlpools doesn't welcome you. Then, poof! A yellow light suddenly erupted from his body as he charged forward. Strengthened again. Rege Kurisuke felt a vibration from his sword, a sense of surprise washing over him. What kind of ninjutsu is this? However, Murasaki ignored him, raising his foot and swinging his fist. I can do it, I can do it, I definitely can. This was his belief. To defeat any invaders and protect the land of whirlpools. So, after it's over, he will tell Madara that pure taijutsu-type ninjas can also become strong. But, no one noticed, a figure had appeared in mid-air at some point. Silently watching Zi Cheng. I didn't expect it to actually succeed. Then, his gaze swept over the 7 ninja swordsmen, and he said calmly, this drama should end now. They actually dared to use hidden mist assassination techniques here in the land of whirlpools. They really don't know what they're getting themselves into. Just as he was about to make his move. Whoosh! Suddenly, a beam of light appeared. A kitchen knife suddenly rushed towards a middle-aged man who was destroying a chakra cannon while holding a knife in his left hand and a hammer in his right. Chapter 2, Nothing More. Chapter 339 The Grilled Fish Restaurant Owner. I thought it was someone else? Kusuke no Yato, carrying a large hammer and holding a large sword in his right hand, looked at a sharp-toothed man and a fat orange-haired man walking past him and said indifferently, so it's you two traitors. He glanced at the kitchen knife he had thrown on the ground. Tisk tisk, what's wrong? Where's the executioner's blade and samehoda? Playing with kitchen knives. He spat disdainfully on the ground. Did your new master return your weapons? Sujetsu Hazuki was silent for a moment, then sighed and said, you don't understand. The executioner's blade was in the slaughterhouse, and as for samehoda, he had no idea where it was. It was probably dissected, after all, samehoda is a rare creature. We're no longer ninjas. Nonsense. Kusuke no Yato sneered, what ninja village would allow you two, rogue ninjas, to continue being ninjas? These two were probably starving and constantly ridiculed in the land of whirlpools. But, they can come back. Rogue ninjas are not tolerated by any ninja village. Instead of finding a place to hide, you dare to show yourselves. Sigh. Sujetsu Hazuki sighed and said, you might not believe it, but we're actually doing quite well. What's so good about being ninjas? Now they're the big boss and second in command of the Ninja Sword and Grilled Fish Restaurant at number 17 on the commercial street. Over the years, they've bought 2 houses, a shop, and 2 cars. Even Juzo is married with children. If it weren't for the lack of manpower, they would have opened branches, established a group, built a brand, and reached the pinnacle of life. However, Kusanagi Edo, holding his ninja sword, looked calmly at Sujetsu Hazuki and the others, and said, leave here. Out of consideration for our past as members of the 7 ninja swordsmen, I'll let you go today. What a liar. They don't even have ninja swords, and they're not even wearing ninja vests, yet they say they're doing well. Looking at Jozo wearing slippers, he was convinced these two were probably too poor to afford nice clothes. Tisk tisk. Sujetsu Hazuki looked at Tsukishino with disdain and said, "Such a big mouth." Just as he was about to make a sarcastic remark. "Stop arguing, let's get started." Biwa Juzo frowned and said impatiently, "Hurry up and finish this, I still need to open the shop. It's been closed for several days." He hasn't seen his wife and children for several days either, and he's really angry. You know, he still needs to save up for his son's wife. Otherwise, how will the Biwa family grow stronger? Without saying a word, he charged forward. "Please, you don't have a ninja sword in your hand." Sujetsu Hazuki looked at Biwa Juzo who charged forward speechlessly. "You don't even have a kitchen knife in your hand, why are you charging? Isn't it better to just talk? Buy some time, wait for others to finish, and then come and help us, right?" Sigh. After doing business for so many years, why is your brain still so stubborn? You're already a father. So, why is it that someone as smart and gentle as me still doesn't have a girlfriend? Sujetsu Hazuki sighed inwardly. Now, he could only charge towards another member of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. Jinpachi Munishi. These two were the most destructive force here. He had originally planned to intervene. But seeing that the situation wasn't too bad, Uzumaki-jun stopped. War always results in death. As for, why didn't he intervene? If everything depended on him, why did he establish an army in the first place? Why did he need to deploy defenses within the country? Why not just push forward and unify the ninja world? But in the end, relying on the small population of the land of whirlpools to maintain order? Don't dream. The seeds of disaster would be sown sooner or later. If he could lie forever, be invincible in the universe, and make the Otsutsuki clan call him father, that would be fine, but, what if something unexpected happened? Would he stay in the land of whirlpools forever, as its guardian? And just because of the fear of death, should the country train its own army? If we don't train this time, don't train next time, and don't train the time after that, then what will happen in the future? Where will we get veterans? Ninjas who've never seen blood? Tisk tisk. They'll just be a bunch of useless trash. And what if everyone becomes dependent on you, but one day you suddenly disappear for some reason? You'll be cursed like a dog. Other ninja villages are at war, undergoing brutal training, while the land of whirlpools is full of greenhorns. The land of whirlpools is doomed. If things continue like this, where will the strong possibly emerge? How can Purple Castle possibly break through? Therefore, within a controllable range of danger, promoting the development of the land of whirlpools is Uzumaki-san's goal. Otherwise, why not just wipe out the entire ninja world in one fell swoop, leaving only the land of whirlpools to continue to thrive? Then, if one day he really disappears, won't the country be engulfed in civil war again? So, although it's cruel, isn't this the meaning of soldiers protecting their homeland? The people of the land of whirlpools volunteer for military service. When they joined the army, they were already prepared for this. As long as the soldiers are not lying down, no enemy will be allowed to enter. As for himself, he can't protect the land of whirlpools forever. He will gradually improve all the rules and regulations, and when the land of whirlpools and the ninja world leave him, they can still develop harmoniously and stably. So, now, he should deal with the Mizukage's affairs. Uzumaki-jun squinted at the approaching Kurigakure fleet. War means death. Seeing so many people from the land of whirlpools lying down still made him feel somewhat uncomfortable. But, the more other ninja villages died, the better he would feel. Northern Theater Command. Even the war on Kurigakure's side has begun. Here, why can't we see the land of lightning's fleet yet? The war on the land of fire should be over. Yohiko frowned, looking in the direction of the land of lightning, and said in confusion, what exactly is the hidden cloud village trying to do? Are they all seasick? Otherwise, why haven't we seen any ninjas at this point? Just as Yohiko was deep in thought. Yohiko, Nagato. Konan approached and greeted him. How's the situation here? Why is it so quiet? Still no sign of him. Yohiko shook his head and said, what about the 3 great ninja villages? It's over. Hearing Yohiko's words, Konan's expression immediately lit up with excitement. Lord Jun is truly amazing. He destroyed the Kazakage, captured Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, but in the end, that big-nosed old man escaped. Konan sighed regretfully. It seems there was a problem on the eastern battlefield, otherwise, that big-nosed man definitely wouldn't have been able to escape. I see. Yohiko nodded and said, "It's almost over." "What is Kumagakure doing? Where's Brother Soon?" Nagato Yuandan asked. "Where did he go?" "He went to provide support in the east," Konan replied. "I believe that once Prince Soon arrives, it should be almost over there." Prince Soon is a powerful figure who could wipe out 2 Cage and a Cage representative. But, so much time has passed, why is it still so quiet here? Chapter 1. Chapter 340 The Legendary Ninja Sword. "Lord Raikage, shouldn't we hurry up?" a Cloud Ninja asked, frowning. "What if Konoha and the others?" "Don't worry," the third Raikage said calmly, arms crossed. "Let's wait a couple more days. If Konoha succeeds, we'll speed things up to get a share of the spoils. If not, we'll turn back and see what to do. Besides, the land of whirlpools, they haven't offended them. Why should the Cloud Ninja go and get involved? The most important thing right now is the legendary ninja swords of Konoha and Kirigakure. If the Cloud Ninja doesn't get them, the situation of the 5 great ninja villages will inevitably be in trouble sooner or later. So, as the Cage of the Cloud Ninja village, he must be prepared. After all, not everyone is as foolish as the first Hokage, Hoshirama Senju, cough, kind-hearted and peace-loving. That ninja sword is far too dangerous. If someone really awakens the sword's spirit, it will definitely ignite a real war. And then, what will become of the Cloud Ninja village? Understood. The Cloud Ninja nodded and said, "In that case, I will send some Anbu to Konoha and Kirigakure to scout the situation." Stop. Hearing the sudden silence from the 3 great ninja villages, Mizuki Joy quickly waved his hand to stop the fleet from continuing its journey, muttering, "What's going on?" Especially that blinding flash of fire just now. It made him extremely uneasy. "Lord Mizukage." The Mizukage's assistant saw the Mizukage suddenly order the fleet to stop and quickly stepped forward, asking in confusion, "We're almost ashore, why aren't we continuing?" Although it seemed that Reiga and the others were being held back on the shore, the current artillery fire was nothing to them. They would definitely be able to land soon, strike at the heart of the enemy, and avenge the humiliation of the past. However, the land of whirlpools is not that simple. The Mizukage frowned and said calmly, "Although we 5 great ninja villages have the advantage now, we still shouldn't let our guard down." He didn't want to repeat the mistakes of the second Hokage. But Minazuki Joy gazed at the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist on the shore. If they didn't come ashore soon, this promising situation might be ruined. Moreover, the 2 rogue ninjas, Biwajuzo and Sujetsu Fuguki, were right before her eyes. As a Cage, how could she stand idly by? But the Kirigakure ninja behind her. Kirigakure couldn't afford any more mishaps. Just then. "Yo, isn't this the Kirigakure village, so poor they can't even redeem their own ninja?" Suddenly, a mocking voice appeared on the fleet. Whoosh! Minazuki Joy quickly turned her head to look at the red-haired youth who had suddenly appeared on the deck, frowning, and said, "The daimyo of Uzumaki. How did he suddenly appear here? Could it be Konoha?" "It's over." Uzumaki-jun nodded and said, "Do you know about the fireworks they just set off?" "It was to celebrate the war being almost over." As expected. Mizuki Joy fell silent, coldly watching Uzumaki-jun. If Kirigakure were to surrender now. Impossible. Uzumaki-jun shook his head, his gaze calmly fixed on the Mizukage, and said lightly, "Starting a war. Ultimately, there will be a price to pay. If they were at a disadvantage and just shouted that they wouldn't fight anymore, and then suffered no losses, then, wouldn't the entire ninja world be in chaos? So, Konoha set a bad precedent." "Lord Mizukage." The Mizukage's assistant stepped forward, pointing at Uzumaki-jun and roaring, "Don't believe him, he's definitely lying. How could a mere Uzuki village possibly withstand the 5 great ninja villages? That's absolutely impossible. Those are Konoha, Iwagakure, and Sunagakure. Could a mere Uzuki village possibly withstand them? However, Uzumaki soon sneered, saying, "Whether I'm lying or not, you'll find out soon enough. Now, stay here, all of you." The words had barely left his lips. Ice release secret technique, demonic mirror ice kill. The Mizukage launched the first attack, shouting, "I'll hold him off, the rest of you retreat." Mizukage. The Mizukage's assistant was stunned, then said anxiously, "We're not afraid. With so many mist ninja, we can definitely keep him here." "Shut up." The Mizukage roared, "Get out of here." However, crack. The demonic mirror shattered instantly. Seeing this, The Mizukage's assistant knew something was wrong and quickly shouted to the fleet behind, "Retreat! Everyone retreat!" Sure enough, this daimyo of the land of whirlpools could appear here alone. He must have some real strength. Could it be? The Mizukage's assistant stared at him in disbelief. He already possessed the strength of a shinobi god. But no matter what, these mist ninja absolutely could not stay here. Otherwise, the village would definitely be in chaos. He stood firmly beside the Mizukage. As the Mizukage's assistant, for the sake of Kirigakure, he absolutely could not retreat. Meanwhile, Mizuki Kioi sighed inwardly, not letting the Mizukage leave, and pulled a sword from her weapon pouch. Frostmourne? Uzumaki-jun was immediately stunned, looking at the Mizukage with a strange expression. What was he going to do? Could it be Frostmourne? The Mizukage looked at the ancient hilt in his hand, stroked it, and murmured, "As the national treasure of the land of water. The current crisis, if only, as long as the sword spirit is awakened, Kirigakure will definitely still have a chance." But Frostmourne still didn't react at all. The Mizukage sighed inwardly. It seemed he wasn't the one who could awaken the sword spirit. And Uzumaki-jun, standing to the side, was extremely embarrassed. Seeing this scene, he felt incredibly awkward. Suddenly, he felt that Black Zetsu's deception of an honest person was too immoral. What? The ninja sword is from the land of whirlpools? That's true, but that fake stone tablet was made by Black Zetsu. Ahem. Kusanagi Irito coughed twice, looking at Biwajuzo holding a kitchen knife, and said, "I didn't expect that after so many years, your strength hasn't declined at all. Perhaps if you were wielding the executioner's blade, it would cause me some trouble." But Kusanagi Irito sneered at Biwajuzo. The ninja world doesn't have so many perhaps. It's time to end this. Biwajuzo. Raising his ninja sword, he charged forward. Rogue ninja. May you die a horrible death. Biwajuzo glanced bitterly at the dull kitchen knife, sighing helplessly in his heart. He lost because of the ninja sword. Perhaps if he were wielding the executioner's blade. But as Kusanagi Irito said, the ninja world doesn't have so many perhaps. Raising his dulled cleaver again, intending to block Kusanagi Yado's ninja sword. Crack. The cleaver snapped in two. "Have you forgotten what I'm holding?" Kusanagi Yado laughed loudly. "This is the blunt sword, Kabuto Jiri, a ninja sword that can shatter any defense." Before he could finish speaking, bang! Under the horrified gaze of Biwajuzo, he inexplicably collapsed. What happened? Was he trying to scam him? Biwajuzo warily looked at Kusanagi Yado lying on the ground with his eyes closed. How did he faint? Then, bang! Bang bang! Under all the puzzled gazes, all 5 members of the 7 ninja swordsmen were lying on the ground. But no one noticed the woods behind them. "Let's go." An elderly man with white hair, sitting in a wheelchair, said calmly to the black-haired youth pushing the wheelchair behind him, "A bunch of useless trash." As he turned the wheelchair, the old man glanced at Zi Chang, who was radiating a yellow light, and a slight smile unconsciously crept onto his lips. How interesting. And, what exactly does that red-haired brat want to do? Why has the war dragged on until now when it could have been ended quickly? Chapter 2. Chapter 341 The Awakened Ninja Sword. Uzumaki-jun looked helplessly at Frostmourne, now back in his hand, and sighed inwardly. What kind of mess is this? Especially with a Mizukage staring at him angrily, as if he had committed some heinous crime. It's just a ninja sword. There are tons of them in the land of whirlpools. Why are they staring at me like this? This is really a headache. Daimyo of the land of whirlpools, the Mizukage said, taking a deep breath, if Kirigakure uses this ninja sword as compensation for their defeat, could you? There was no other way now. He hoped this ninja sword, worth billions, would allow the Kirigakure ninja to return home safely. He didn't want to become a sinner against Kirigakure. He suddenly understood the second Mizukage's predicament. The land of whirlpools was a complete trap. However, before he could finish speaking, "Don't dream about it," Uzumaki-jun said calmly. "This ninja sword. What did he want it for? To resell it? When you start a war, you are destined to bear the consequences." Suddenly, Uzumaki-jun seemed to have noticed something, his eyes widening as he stared at Frostmourne in his hand. Whoosh! The Mizukage and his assistant also seemed to have noticed something amiss, staring intently at Frostmourne as well. This. Mizuki-joy looked at Frostmourne, which was suddenly radiating a cold light, in disbelief, and said, "Could it be A sword spirit. Is the sword spirit about to be awakened? Feeling the cold atmosphere around him, even he, a member of the Uzumaki clan, could feel the chill. Stop him, the Uzumaki shouted. We absolutely cannot let him awaken the sword spirit. Isn't this the national treasure of the land of water? How can even a daimyo of the land of whirlpools awaken a sword spirit? Damn it! If he really awakens it, with the god of the shinobi world and the legendary ninja sword, who in the shinobi world can stop him? The Mizukaji's assistant also snapped out of his daze and quickly formed a hand seal. Water release, great shark bullet technique. He felt it too. Cold. A chill emanated from the daimyo of the land of whirlpools. He hadn't expected Frostmourne to awaken at this moment. Damn it. He shouldn't have let the Mizukage take it out in the first place. Now look what happened. Their national treasure had been awakened by the enemy. This was utterly shameful and infuriating. However, just as the Mizukage and his assistants ninjutsu swept towards Uzumaki-jun, instantly, all the ninjutsu were frozen. The Mizukage and the Kirigakure ninja on the ship gasped, staring wide-eyed at the scene. Truly worthy of being a ninja sword that could defeat 10 ninja gods in its transmission. But Mizuki Seiichi was in tears. Why wasn't it a Kirigakure ninja who awakened the sword spirit? What should they do next? Now there was no time for them to think. Suddenly, freeze. Uzumaki soon roared, his face grim, thrown. He seemed to be using all his strength. As soon as he finished speaking, giggle, giggle. The entire sea surface, within 100 miles, as far as the eye could see. In an instant, everything froze into thick ice. Even the Mizukage and the Mist Ninja on the fleet were frozen solid. Is it that strong? Muzinshu stared wide-eyed at the sea. The coastline of the land of whirlpools was frozen solid. This was too exaggerated. That ninja sword, truly worthy of being a legendary ninja sword. Even the ship was frozen solid, forming several icebergs in front of it. Uchiha Itachi nodded in agreement, saying, this power. Too strong. Then, he looked at Muxinshu's chest. Your egg. Oh, you mean this? Muxinshu pulled out the crushed egg, saying helplessly, what a pity he had been accidentally hit during the battle. I told you to eat it sooner. Uchiha Itachi said indifferently, now it's wasted. It's alright. Muxinshu tidied up the broken egg, then buried it, smiling as he said, anyway. The war was about to end. Only Zichin glanced at Prince Soon and shouted, hurry up, stop looking, no matter how you look at it, it's Prince Soon. There are many people lying here. Now is the time to look at the ice. Why aren't you coming to rescue people? Oh. Muzinshu and Uchiha also came to their senses. Although they didn't know why the 5 ninja swordsmen had suddenly fainted for no reason, it was good that it was finally coming to an end. It's just, this batch of new recruits is really weak. There are even ninjas trembling with fear during battle. They're already teenagers. Indeed, we should learn from other ninja villages and have them kill bandits or wandering ninjas when they graduate from the ninja academy. Otherwise, if this continues, something unexpected will happen sooner or later. If they get weak in the knees when they encounter a strong opponent, what can they do? They might as well just surrender. Coming. Muzinshu quickly ran over and said, anyone who can move, come and help. Saving lives is the priority now. As for the rest, we'll wait for Prince Soon to return. Why are you still holding that cleaver? Juzobiwa asked, puzzled, as Sujetsu Hazuki picked up the broken cleaver. It's unusable. And, you're planning to use a knife that's been used to cut fish? Aren't you afraid of customer complaints or the health department shutting down the shop? This is an honor. Sujetsu Hazuki said cheerfully, holding the 2 pieces of the cleaver. It represents that when the land of whirlpools faced invasion, we, the 2 owners of this grilled fish shop, remained calm and bravely stood up to protect the land of whirlpools. Just hang it in the shop, and the sales will definitely skyrocket. There's such a thing. Juzobiwa looked at Sujetsu Hazuki speechlessly, inwardly sighing. Truly worthy of being the hero who betrayed the village for his Kirigakure brothers. His mind is so sharp, he even thought of this. But no one noticed. Behind the trees, a man with beady green eyes, arms crossed, leaned against a tree, calmly watching the whirlpool on the sea, muttering, looks like the price of ninja swords is going to go up again. Meanwhile, in the northern part of the land of whirlpools, why haven't we seen the hidden cloud village yet? Nagato yawned helplessly, saying, is that Reikaji even coming? He'd been on edge for days, and, nothing? The war in the land of fire was over, and the land of water, It should be coming soon. They hadn't fired a single shot. Nagato sighed inwardly, muttering, I was planning to try out my newly improved Rasengan. Now, if the hidden cloud village dared to come ashore, they'd definitely be ganged up on. But, would they even come? Konoha year 43, mid-June. The war that had lasted for over 10 days officially ended. Most of the ninja from Konoha, Tsunagakure, and Iwagakure were captured. The third Kazekage died in battle, and Konoha's commander, Orochimaru, was captured. Only that Tsuchikage of Iwagakure escaped with a small number of remaining Iwagakure ninja using a super light heavy rock technique and dust release. Kumagakure did not participate in the battle, seemingly returning to their village immediately upon realizing the situation was dire. As for the third Mizukage and the Kirigakure ninja, they died a horrible death. They were frozen to death alive on the sea by their own national treasure, and it's said the ice hasn't melted yet, a truly spectacular sight. However, it's said that the daimyo of Uzumaki ability to awaken the sword spirit was merely an accident. After using the sword, his entire arm was frostbitten, and the condition is quite serious. It won't heal for 3 or 4 months. As for a full recovery, that remains to be seen. Suddenly, the legendary ninja sword reappeared in the eyes of the major ninja villages. While rejoicing that the daimyo of Uzumaki hadn't yet gained full recognition, they began digging pits throughout their own countries, hoping to find any ninja swords that had been passed down for millennia. As for Konoha, because of this awakening incident, it has once again come under the watchful eyes of a group of ninja villages. Especially since Konoha has suffered heavy losses in this war, and its strength has been greatly reduced. Chapter 3, that's all. I didn't have much to do this weekend, so I'll update early and finish writing about the war as soon as possible. Chapter 342 The situation in the ninja world. 3 days after the war ended, the people of the land of whirlpools began to return to their daily lives. However, war inevitably brings death. Although the land of whirlpools suffered relatively few casualties due to prior preparation, some people still lost their lives forever. After a brief but solemn funeral procession throughout the country, life slowly returned to normal. Death is a common theme in the ninja world, especially for these impoverished people, who see dead bodies every day, starving to death, freezing to death, dying from illness, being killed by ninjas. They have long been accustomed to it. Of course, the attacks on the coast and the ruins left by the explosion still symbolize the horrific conditions faced by the soldiers of the land of whirlpools in that war. Countless chakra cannons were destroyed, countless soldiers bravely faced the enemy's kunai, shuriken, and ninjutsu, and then, how many more lay dead? Especially recently, hospitals have been overflowing. Many people have visited the surviving heroes, bringing their heartfelt gratitude and small tokens of appreciation. A thank you, some apples, a basket of eggs, or a bowl of rich chicken soup or congee. These things warm the hearts of the soldiers lying in their hospital beds, letting them know that their sacrifice was worthwhile. Because they protected the country and its simple, honest people. Various colleges also organized student visits. In an instant, national cohesion reached a new level. Everyone understood the hardships of war. They were able to work and earn money, eat, dress, and sleep peacefully in the country because a group of lovely people were silently shouldering everything for them. At the same time, recruitment slogans were quickly posted across the country. One person joins the army, the whole family is honored. Joining the army is fulfilling our duty, guarding the border and defending the country. Seeing these slogans, and the soldiers who sacrificed for the country and its people, young people seem to have found their purpose, joining the army with a heart of protecting the nation. Although the land of whirlpools was still immersed in sorrow, the victory in the war was still an exciting event. Relying on a small island to resist the 5 great ninja villages, the land of whirlpools actually won. This was such an unbelievable and undeniable thing. The entire ninja world was in an uproar because the land of whirlpools won by relying on its own strength. Although the daimyo of the land of whirlpools intervened in the end and wiped out the hidden mist village by activating the national treasure of the land of water, Frostborn, it was still undeniable that the land of whirlpools, as a small island nation, had withstood the invasion of 3 great ninja villages. This was simply incredible. Suddenly, most of the small countries in the ninja world began to question their original one country one village system and prepared to re-examine the land of whirlpools' communist system. What were the advantages of it? Why could a small island nation rise to become the 6th largest country in such a short time? Some even called it the largest country. Because the land of whirlpools won against the combined forces of the 5 great ninja villages. Of course, while the entire ninja world was contemplating its future path, what was the path of communism, whether it should be taken, and how to proceed, Konoha faced a serious crisis. The Hidden Cloud Village initiated a war on the border of the Land of Fire, citing Konoha's violation of the ninja world's pacifist covenant by leading the other 3 great ninja villages in a war against a peaceful small coastal nation. As one of the guardians of peace in the ninja world, the Hidden Cloud Village condemned Konoha's immoral and uncivilized behavior and demanded that Konoha pay the price. Subsequently, the Hidden Stone Village also declared war on Konoha. As one of the only 2 remaining kage among the 4 great ninja villages that invaded the land of whirlpools, the Tsuchikage, the 2 scales with a big nose, remained silent about what had happened during the war in the land of whirlpools, refusing to answer any questions. As for the Hidden Sands Village and the Hidden Mist Village, after the deaths of their 3rd kage, to stabilize the villages, the higher-ups quickly elected their respective 4th kage. The Hidden Sands Village chose Raza, a ninja skilled in magnet release. As for Kurigakure, they chose a cute little boy with a scar on his face, Yagura Karachi. Aside from being somewhat adorable, he didn't seem like much of a special Mizukage. Immediately, the uninformed clans in the village were furious, suspecting manipulation. This Yagura Karachi, which clan was he from? He seemed like someone randomly chosen from outside, pushed out by the higher-ups. But, one evening, after the 4th Mizukage invited them to discuss the matter, everyone calmed down and agreed, he was a good Mizukage. And because Kurigakure suffered the most heavy losses in this war, their national treasure, painstakingly purchased with a loan, was awakened by the enemy, heartbreaking. The village was once again facing a deficit crisis. Therefore, they didn't care about the war between the 3 great ninja villages on the continent. As for Tsunagakure, as the ninja village that loved to join in the fun the most, how could they not participate? After selecting the 4th Kazakage, Raza led the remaining Sand Village ninja to the battlefield. Indeed, the number of ninjas was somewhat small, but this time they were just there to cheer. Although they despised the Hidden Cloud Village's desertion during the battle in the Land of Whirlpools, now, they absolutely could not allow Konoha to gain the Throne of Fire. Therefore, the 4th Kazakage accepted the alliance with the Hidden Cloud Village and agreed to condemn Konoha on behalf of the Sands Village. Meanwhile, our 3rd Hokage took a few more puffs of cigarette in his office. Sigh. Hirozen Sarutobi looked at his team with a worried expression. The backbone of Konoha, the leader of Konoha's powerful core leadership, said, "What do you think we should do now?" He hadn't expected the 5 great ninja villages alliance to lose. And lose so thoroughly. It was unbelievable. Especially the Hidden Cloud Village. How dare they declare war on Konoha? If they hadn't deserted, the 5 great ninja villages alliance would probably have already destroyed the Land of Whirlpools. But now, most of Konoha's ninjas have been captured by the Land of Whirlpools. The younger generation's representatives, Orochimaru and Minato, have also been captured. As for Jiraiya and Tsunade, who knows where they are now? Hirozen Sarutobi felt utterly exhausted. There wasn't a single capable fighter left in the village. Won't the Land of Whirlpools return the prisoners from the other villages? Kaharu Udatain asked. Frowning. What are they trying to do with so many captured ninjas? Wasting food? You see, when other ninja villages capture enemy ninjas, they usually either kill them or pay ransom. But that doesn't leave many, since too many enemy ninjas would cause chaos in their own village. So, Konoha's approach is to release them. After all, Konoha is the messenger of justice. They'll only agree to discuss the prisoners of war after we compensate them for the 250 chakra cannons destroyed by Konoha, at 100 million each, plus 5 billion for the losses suffered by the Land of Whirlpools in the war, and 1 billion for the casualties of the Land of Whirlpools ninja. Hirozen Sarutobi said helplessly. That's over 30 billion. How could Konoha possibly afford that? Especially considering the loan they still owed to Kurigakure, plus the weapons they bought in this war. He no longer has the money to protect Konoha. And, it's said that the weapons were damaged due to a mistake on the battlefield. But now they can't even find the Akatsuki leader to demand compensation. Hearing Hirozen Sarutobi's words, Kaharu Udatain and the others fell silent. The Land of Whirlpools was simply asking for an exorbitant amount. These compensations alone are several hundred billion, so what about the prisoners of war? Wouldn't they be worth hundreds of billions? But right now, the initiative isn't in Konoha's hands. They had ruled Konoha for so many years, overcoming the ostracism of various clans to rise to the top ranks and lead Konoha to become the strongest of the 5 great ninja villages, yet they had never encountered such a thorny situation. The Hidden Cloud Village's goal is to force Konoha to hand over the legendary ninja sword. Kahoryuda Tame frowned, pondered for a moment, and said, "Has no one in Konoha awakened the sword spirit yet? If someone had, everything would be much easier." "No." Hirozen Sarutobi shook his head and said, "Every ninja in Konoha has tried. Still, no one has succeeded." Hirozen Sarutobi gave a bitter smile. He now didn't even know how the daimyo of Uzumaki awakened the sword spirit. In that case, Kahoryuda Tane sighed, helplessly saying, "The only way is to take the ninja sword." Currently, only 2 places are known to possess ninja swords, Konoha and Uzumaki. Seeing the power of the Uzumaki daimyo's awakening of the ninja sword, many ninja villages must be itching to do the same, hoping that someone in their village could successfully awaken the sword spirit and lead their village to power. However, the land of whirlpools flexed its muscles in a recent war, so it's unlikely anyone will dare to provoke it now. As for Konoha, it suffered heavy losses, its strength significantly diminished. Now is the perfect time to fight. Therefore, handing over the ninja sword is the only option. Chapter 1. Chapter 343. Sell it after you're done using it. The Land of Whirlpools. Morning. Today is a somber day. All factories, businesses, and workshops have ceased operations. The main square of the Land of Whirlpools is packed with people. Before dawn, all the citizens of the Land of Whirlpools, with heavy hearts, came to the square, looking at the group of soldiers standing ramrod straight in their uniforms, their faces solemn. Many of them had even lost their lower limbs in the war and could not stand properly. Yet they still stood firm. Supported by their comrades, heads held high, eyes fixed ahead. At this moment, no one showed fear or weakness, for they were soldiers protecting their homeland. Therefore, they would not let their own people see their inner vulnerability. Only in this way could the people of the Land of Whirlpools have faith in them, faith in their country, and live peacefully in the Land of Whirlpools. Kaiu of the West Mountain. Uzumaki soon shouted solemnly, "Step forward." Defeated 2 Jonin and 1 Jonin on the battlefield, holding onto the enemy with his body, and finally detonating the explosive tags to halt their advance. The one awarding the medal wasn't Kaiu, but his 60-year-old father. Kaiu hadn't graduated from the academy, he was a wandering ninja who came to the Land of Whirlpools from elsewhere. Uzumaki soon looked at the old man, his hands trembling, yet still trying to stand straight, and his heart trembled. Had he done something wrong? "I'm sorry." Uzumaki soon solemnly presented the medal with both hands, silently reciting a word. Then, he shouted, "Awarded." The old man also accepted the medal with both hands, trembling as he gave a half-hearted salute to Uzumaki soon and everyone below, tears welling in his eyes as he quietly looked at the medal in his hand, murmuring, "He's a hero." "Kaiu, don't worry, I'll take good care of Kai. Your father and child will be proud of you." Then, with his hunchback, he slowly walked down, because he was the father of a hero, and he couldn't let his child down. Although he really wanted to cry, he held back. He clutched his medal tightly in his hands. And at that moment, no one dared to laugh at this hunched old man, his great, sorrowful yet proud back, silencing everyone watching. Peace is never easy to come by. No one knows how many people have sacrificed, how much has been given up, for this peace, and at the same time, no one knows how long this peace can last. Whirlpool soon sighed inwardly. He might have acted somewhat cruelly, but this is a process a nation must go through to become strong, a process of blood and tears. This war also exposed many problems. New recruits from the academy, who had never experienced the baptism of blood, mostly showed fear, trembling, and vomiting on the battlefield. Some were even paralyzed with fear. Conversely, those ninjas who had already experienced war, and those wandering ninjas from outside, reacted more quickly, defending themselves and even launching attacks. Therefore, most of those who died were veterans. They were silently teaching these recruits a lesson with their lives. War kills. Uzumaki-jun might feel sadness, but he wouldn't regret his cold indifference. New recruits must experience bloodshed to become veterans. Especially in this chaotic ninja world, fear can kill. Within his current vision, his goal was to help the Land of Whirlpools grow step by step. Otherwise, what if something unexpected happened and he disappeared? Chiba. Uzumaki Jun's eyes showed determination as he called out the next name. The strength of a nation doesn't depend on just one person. He was merely the daimyo of the land of whirlpools. Late June, year 43 of Konoha. War was imminent. Especially for the Hidden Cloud Village, which had preserved its fighting strength intact during the War of the Whirlpools. Now they were incredibly powerful. Having prepared for war in advance, they led their ninja westward towards Konoha. As for the Hidden Stone Village, they dared not act recklessly again. The third Tsuchikage remained silent throughout, dispatching a commander to the front lines. As for himself, he decided to follow the third Hokage's example. A wise man doesn't stand under a crumbling wall. Countless kage in the ninja world had already demonstrated a principle with their lives: those who act recklessly die quickly. Anyway, this trip was only to force Konoha to surrender, and they could just cheer from the sidelines. As for the rest, that was the Hidden Cloud Village's problem. Who told them to desert in the face of battle? Of the 5 great ninja villages that participated in the War of the Whirlpools, only the Hidden Cloud Village remained intact. Even if they successfully forced Konoha this time, what about next time? It would probably be the Hidden Cloud Village again. After all, the Hidden Cloud Village is simply too powerful now, and the other ninja villages have no true friendship. Who knows if the Hidden Cloud Village will share the legendary ninja sword with them after obtaining it? If that's the case, then why bother fighting? Therefore, the Hidden Stone Village's war motto this time is, to survive if possible. Meanwhile, the Tsuchigumo Village, this small ninja village, like the former Uzumaki village, was also established by a clan. However, unlike the Uzumaki clan's Uzuki country, they are just a small ninja village that lives under the roof of others. A small ninja village, barely surviving by risking its life for others. Konoha. The Tsuchigumo clan chief looked at the alliance petition sent by Konoha, pondered for a moment, then looked at the elders and asked, "What do you think?" This. One elder glanced at the expressions of the surrounding elders, thought for a while, and nodded, saying, "I think it's feasible. Although Tsuchigumo is a ninja village, it's just a clan. They know their own situation. The entire village only has a few hundred people, and most of them aren't even ninjas. So, an alliance with Konoha would be a good thing. After all, our forbidden techniques are too tempting." The elder sighed, looking at the clan chief. A forbidden technique could destroy a city. Who wouldn't want it? But now, the Tsuchigumo clan's population is declining, and the number of ninjas is decreasing. Plus, the clan's forbidden techniques are difficult to master. If things continue like this, they'll inevitably be targeted by others. So, an alliance with Konoha is an opportunity, isn't it? After all, even a starved camel is bigger than a horse. No matter what, Konoha is one of the 5 great ninja villages. It won't be so easily destroyed. The third elder makes a good point. The clan had nodded, hearing the elder's words. In that case. Wait. Suddenly, before the clan head could finish speaking. "I don't think so," the second elder interjected. "Why is Konoha seeking an alliance with us now?" "It's because their current situation is simply, utterly ridiculous. These are the 3 great ninja villages. Especially with the shifting balance of power. Konoha suffered heavy losses due to its defeat in the war against Uzushiagakure, while Kumagakure, on the contrary, did nothing and became the strongest ninja village. Therefore, Konoha is seeking to share the burden. Isn't this also because they rang the forbidden techniques of their Tsuchigumo clan? And you must know, Konoha even dares to betray its own people. Who knows if, after the war ends, the third Hokage will forbid the Tsuchigumo clan's secret techniques from being used, and then, in exchange, send reinforcements when their clan is in crisis, to thus ruin the Tsuchigumo clan. The second elder's lips curled slightly as he looked at the surrounding clan elders and said, "I think we can learn from the Uchiha clan. Go to the land of whirlpools." Chapter 2, Nothing More. Chapter 344 Self-Reflection. Repent and start anew. The sea of suffering is boundless, but turning back is the shore. Correct your attitude towards reform, clarify your direction of reform, and standardize your reform behavior. The labor camp in the land of whirlpools has been revitalized due to the war, and new prisoners have once again filled the camp. Although these prisoners all wore expressions of displeasure, looking disdainfully at the red slogans, and some even spat on the ground, they only uttered harsh words and grumbled. They dared not make any rash moves. Especially when they saw the great prison uniforms they wore and the insignia representing their respective ninja villages on their chests. Wood, rock, sand. They dared not act recklessly. Why wasn't Kirigakure here? Because Kirigakure was completely wiped out. They heard they died horribly, and the ice on the sea hasn't even melted yet. And those 5 ninja swordsmen executed in the land of Whirlpool Square a few days ago, that happened right in front of them. So, there might be no freedom here, even loss of freedom, but at least life is still safe. Everyone holds on to hope, hoping their Hokage will come to redeem them as soon as possible. That time is probably not far off, because there are quite a few elite ninja villages here. The village leaders will never abandon them, they firmly believe that, so, if they just hold on for a few more days, the light will come. Kakashi, Rin Haruno looked at Kakashi leaning against a tree with his eyes closed, and asked worriedly, "What do you think of Minato-sensei and Orochimaru-sama?" Now they were certain. Minato-sensei had definitely been captured. But why hadn't they seen Minato-sensei and Orochimaru-sama here? And what about Jiraiya-sama and Tsunade-sama? What happened to them? When will the Hokage redeem us? Rin Haruno sighed, looking at the morning sun. If we can't go back, how will the land of whirlpools treat us? She was very worried. I don't know. Kakashi said calmly, his eyes closed, basking in the morning sunlight. For now, we just need to stay put. The affairs of the village were beyond their control. As for Minato and Orochimaru, although they didn't know where they were, they should be alright. Otherwise, why would the daimyo of Uzumaki have bothered capturing them when he had already killed them? Besides, their chakra was sealed, their weapon pouch was stolen, and their family heirloom short sword was gone. Even if they wanted to fight. Kakashi glanced at the Uzumaki ninja standing guard beside him, their backs ramrod straight. They probably couldn't escape. So, it was more realistic to wait for the village's higher-ups to come and ransom them. Moreover, aside from the lack of freedom, everything else here was pretty good. At least the food in the cafeteria was much better than in Konoha. We'll do whatever they tell us to do, Kakashi stretched and said nonchalantly. Don't make any rash moves. The bodies of the 5 ninja swordsmen shouldn't be cold yet. If they want to join in the fun, well, whatever. Besides, right now, the other seniors are all obediently cooperating, planning to make their move when the opportunity arises. It's best not to be the first to act. But Rin Haruno frowned and said, if the Hokage-sama. Before she could finish speaking. Ring ring. Assemble, assemble. Several Uzumaki ninja walked over and shouted loudly, everyone come and assemble. Behave yourselves, don't move around, or you won't escape a whipping. Cooperate. Then, all the ninjas walked over slowly, feeling annoyed, and lined up in the order they had been asked to do a few days ago. Don't say anything, Kakashi said in a low voice, don't think about anything or say anything for now. Otherwise, who knows what these Uzumaki ninjas will do to them. Hearing Kakashi's words, Shizune and Rin nodded knowingly and walked to their positions. The most important thing now was to stay put and wait for rescue. Shut up. Just as the commotion below started again. Everyone shut up. A Uzumaki ninja stepped forward and said sternly, if you don't shut up, everyone will be punished because of you. As soon as he finished speaking, the ninjas from all the villages fell silent, looking at the Uzumaki ninja standing before them. The rest is all in your hands. The Uzumaki ninja who stepped forward bowed to a middle-aged man with short, choppy hair behind him and said, if you need the military's cooperation, please contact your superiors. Yes, thank you. The middle-aged man nodded and said, I will pay close attention. Then, as the Uzumaki ninjas gathered and jogged away, the middle-aged man stepped forward, looking at the ninjas from the various villages before him, and sighed inwardly. Why fight for nothing? Alright, now. If your village has money, that's fine, but if not, you'll all have to stay here. Shut up. Looking at the whispering ninjas below, the middle-aged man frowned and shouted, from now on, you're all under my command. I believe you all know your current situation. This is a labor camp. The middle-aged man pointed to the large red characters at the entrance. Labor camp, do you understand? He said sternly. You're all a bunch of labor camp inmates. Don't say things like Chunin, Jonin, or Anbu. The middle-aged man's eyes swept over them one by one. Displeased? He smiled disdainfully inwardly. Displeased is displeased. They're just a bunch of ninjas with their chakra sealed. He could take on 10 of them. As for the rest, that's a matter for the Uzumaki ninjas. Here, you only have one identity, the middle-aged man said with a sneer, and that is, labor camp inmates. Remember that. Starting tomorrow, you will all be assigned to various departments. From then on, others won't be as easy to talk to as I am. If you don't work diligently, if your attitude is poor, you won't have food to eat, and if you get punished, don't come looking for me." The middle-aged man looked at the silent ninjas from various villages and said calmly, "Every morning, someone will come here to take you to your respective workstations, and you'll be brought back at 8 o'clock in the evening for ideological education. After that, every week, someone will come to assess what you've learned that week. At that time," his cold gaze swept over them, "if your political report and ideological self-criticism don't pass, HMPH, the middle-aged man said with a sneer, "you'll find out then. As for the monthly criticism and self-criticism meetings, and the radism theory exam, let's talk about that in a few days. Don't scare everyone like that. And I'm the camp commander, and also the commander of you prisoners. You can call me Commander Yang Yi." Yang Yi said calmly, "If you all cooperate, I'm quite easy to talk to, but..." His icy gaze swept over them. "Anyone who makes me unhappy, I'll make all of you unhappy." Chapter 1. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345. It's time for you to protect Konoha again. Have all the prisoners been taken care of? Uzumaki soon looked at the documents in his hand with a headache, rubbed his forehead, sighed, and said, "There's so much to do. The period since the war ended has been filled with troubles, post-war reparations, prisoner arrangements, reconstruction of the ruins, military reforms, and other trivial matters. It's been driving Uzumaki-san crazy lately." "It's all arranged." Uzumaki Hibiki nodded and said, "As you requested, disperse the ninjas from each village and assign them to various locations. There will also be dedicated instructors to provide them with ideological education every night." "I see." Uzumaki soon frowned, pondered for a moment, and said, "I hope there won't be any problems. After all, this time it's not like the previous times. Prisoners from 3 ninja villages, that's just too many. Have the military send people to patrol there every day, and also have the Maya Castle Gate cooperate." Uzumaki soon sighed helplessly. "Those poor bastards, who knows when they'll have the money to ransom us? Seriously, what kind of war can you fight without money? Don't they know war is incredibly expensive?" "Understood, I'll pass the notification down." Hibiki Uzumaki flipped through her memo and made a note, saying, "I'll definitely make sure they pay attention. What about the post-war relief work?" Soon Uzumaki thought for a moment and said, "We can't let the heroes who defended our country bleed and weep. The clan leader is already doing it," Hibiki Uzumaki said. "As per your request, appropriate compensation has been provided to every family injured or killed in the war." Then, soon Uzumaki nodded and said, "If there's nothing else, I'll go back and rest." He was quite relieved that it was the clan leader. He'd been so tired these past few days that he'd almost dozed off during meetings. Besides, Mikado had given birth a few days ago, a handsome red-haired boy. His parents had been taking a break these past few days, staying at the hospital looking after their precious grandson. Soon Uzumaki sighed inwardly. Did they know there were still many things to handle back home? And, even Boss Madara, he'd heard he'd gone to the hospital to check on him. "I'm exhausted lately." Uzumaki soon stretched and sighed helplessly. "As a father, I haven't even given Itachi a proper look." Uzumaki Itachi. He didn't even name him. It was that old bastard Madara who named him, really. He was even planning to change his child's name to avoid those chosen ones, but the name was decided a few days ago when he wasn't there. Even his parents thought the name sounded clever and was very good. It seems his chance will have to wait until next time. "There's another important matter." Uzumaki Hibiki pushed up her glasses and said, "News came from the chakra center that their chakra is running low again. Especially with the reckless firing of cannons during battle, it's even more insufficient." "Is that so?" Uzumaki soon stroked his chin, pondered for a moment, and said, "How long can this last?" "About half a month," Uzumaki Hibiki sighed, saying helplessly, "We'll have to reduce the supply of most of the equipment." Sigh. Uzumaki soon sighed as well, muttering, "Energy. The energy shortage problem must be solved. Otherwise, we'll really be forced to rely on a combination of chakra, gasoline, and coal." Then, He looked up at Uzumaki Hibiki. Have those prisoners donate every morning, Uzumaki soon said, squinting. They're useless to them anyway, so just donate everything I bought. They can still work after a short rest, and it won't cost them any money. But you must be careful. Unlock one after each one you draw. We absolutely cannot give them a chance. Uzumaki-jun looked at Uzumaki Hibiki with a serious expression. Remember, this matter cannot be taken lightly. Be careful, be very careful. Understood. Uzumaki Hibiki looked at Uzumaki-jun with a strange expression and said, this is indeed a good method. Early June, year 43 of Konoha. The three great ninja villages formed an encirclement of the Land of Fire. Although they all stopped at the border and set up camp, not continuing to advance, but, when the daimyo of the Land of Fire saw this scene, he was extremely angry. When had the Land of Fire ever suffered such humiliation? Especially the Land of Lightning, their Raikage, who always led a group of shirtless men, constantly clamored at the border, calling for a one-on-one fight, saying the Land of Fire was trash, Konoha was a coward, and even, said he would give Konoha a week to consider, otherwise, he would just push forward and destroy the Land of Fire. So, the Fire Country daimyo was scared. After all, Konoha hadn't even sent any ninja yet. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to keep him up at night? He quickly sent a letter to Konoha, severely criticizing Hirozen Sarutobi and seriously questioning his abilities as Kage. What's going on? Why has the village's strength suddenly shrunk so much? If all else fails, well, you're old anyway, you should just abdicate. Abdicate? Hirozen Sarutobi looked at the letter from the Fire Country daimyo in his hand, narrowed his eyes, and then looked up at Denzo sitting in front of him. This dark ninja, still not giving up. He was even chuckling just now. Denzo. Hirozen Sarutobi stood up, walked to the window with his hands behind his back, and said calmly, it's your time to protect Konoha. As for abdication, now is not the time. Konoha is in dire straits right now. If he abdicates, who will be able to protect Konoha? Only he is the one who can protect Konoha right now. Danzo's face remained expressionless, but he had something on his mind that he didn't know whether to say or not. He sighed. What is it? Recently, the Hyuga clan. Hirozen Sarutobi looked out the window. Because of the war, people were starting to panic. Did they all think Konoha was truly doomed this time? He sighed again, saying helplessly, you know what I mean. They're being cheeky again. Did they think they could become Konoha's #1 clan just because the two major noble families in the village were gone? Why couldn't they just obey his orders as the Hokage? Go to the Hyuga clan and ask them how many ninja they can send in this war? His Sarutobi clan hadn't even shown up yet. Why were the Hyuga running around like this? Danzo frowned upon hearing Hirozen Sarutobi's words, pondered for a moment, and said, can I go? You know, his reputation now meant death to anyone he encountered. He probably wouldn't even reach the Hyuga clan before being kicked out. After all, because of you, all the clans in Konoha know that any clan he's visited is basically finished. Bastard. Don't worry, Hirozen Sarutobi said calmly, taking a drag of his cigarette. I believe you'll handle it. You've done this kind of thing before. Just use coercion and bribery to make the Hyuga clan behave. You're very familiar with this business. As the leader of Konoha, I believe you. Chapter 2, Nothing More. Chapter 346 Reputation Guaranteed. Zete. A girl with short blonde hair, about 10 years old, stood with her hands on her hips, looking at the boy running around, and said unhappily, don't forget the mission the clan leader gave us. How could he have the leisure to wander around like that? It's really a headache. The clan leader is still waiting for their news. Don't be so bothered. The little boy looked around curiously. This place was so lively. He hadn't seen such prosperous and interesting streets even when he went on a mission to the capital of the Land of Fire. There were so many things here. Then, he turned to the little girl and casually said, do you know why Uncle Atsushi suddenly abandoned us? Uncle Atsushi? The little girl frowned, looking at Zeta, and said, didn't he abandon us because it was inconvenient to take us to dangerous places to investigate? She wondered how Uncle Atsushi's investigation was going. Was there any danger? The little girl sighed inwardly. I hope nothing bad happens. Hearing the little girl's words, Zeta rolled his eyes and said irritably, Rui Ling. He shook his head. Having followed Uncle Dun for so long, don't you know? He glanced around and whispered, He's definitely off drinking and carousing. That lecherous uncle. Doesn't he know? He even said that kind of place is the best place to understand the true situation of a country. Huh. Zeta scoffed. You didn't take me, how would I know? Rui Ling stared wide-eyed at Zeta, saying in an incredulous tone, how could you do this? What about the chief's mission? Hands on her hips, she glared at Zeta. Aren't we going to finish it? The tribe's people are still waiting for us. Men are all a bunch of pigs. She was so serious about carrying out a mission, but only she was serious. Hey. Zeta was immediately displeased upon hearing Ruling's words, saying, I didn't go. He was still a minor. How could you insult someone's innocence for no reason? But you're a big jerk too. Ruling glared at him threateningly, saying, huh? How dare you talk back? Believe me or not, I'll beat you up. As a man, Zeta, that's such a gumo, decided not to stoop to this woman's level. He turned his head to the side. Why was there a stinky smell wafting over? Stinky tofu, authentic stinky tofu from the land of whirlpools. Smells bad, tastes good, a special delicacy made by His Highness soon, everyone who's tried it says it's delicious. Zeta leaned closer, listened for a while, and muttered, food? It smells so bad, how could anyone like to eat it? It's strange, judging from the sound. This is actually some kind of delicacy? Uncle Dun isn't doing missions, so we can't follow his example. Ruling walked over, grabbed Zeta's ear, and said, you're coming with me to gather information. Ouch! Zeta's ear hurt from being pulled, and he quickly said, let go. Then, he rubbed his red ear and looked at Ruling resentfully. He should have gone with Uncle Dun. Seriously. How annoying. Why does it smell so bad? Ruling frowned, sniffed, and immediately covered her nose, saying, it stinks. Let's get out of here quickly. Stinky. Hearing Ruling's words, Zeta's eyes darted around, and he narrowed his eyes. He remembered that Ruling would feel nauseous whenever she smelled something smelly. Suddenly, he had a good idea. Indeed, we can't follow Uncle Atsushi's example. Nodding, he looked at Ruling with righteous indignation and said, that lecherous old man has absolutely no ninja ethics. Since that's the case, Ruling was curious about why Zeta had suddenly changed, but this place was just too smelly, so, leaving quickly was the priority. Her stomach was starting to feel uncomfortable. Of course, Zeta nodded, but I'm a little hungry, let's go get something to eat first. Without waiting for Ruling's reply, he turned and ran towards Stinky Tofu, delicious Stinky Tofu, at the bar entrance. And Uncle frowned, looking at the sign that read Red Bar. Why was this different from the place he usually went to drink? And, the lights inside didn't seem pink either. Blue, red, huh? Pink? The middle-aged man was stunned, muttering, could this be a specialty of the land of whirlpools? Sure enough. Those who could defeat the allied forces of the 5 great ninja villages were indeed a bit special. Suddenly, a surge of excitement welled up inside him. He wanted to see what kind of trouble he could find here, cough cough, what useful information he could glean from this place. You know, only places like this could reveal the true state of a country. He patted his bulging wallet. The bounty he'd saved from the missions a few days ago should be enough. Then, puffing out his chest and holding his head high, acting like he was the boss, he walked in. Minato and Orochimaru should be all taken care of by now, right? Uzumaki soon greeted the passers-by as he walked, then turned to Uzumaki Hibiki and said, keep a close eye on those two, absolutely no accidents can be allowed. You know, geniuses can always pull off some trick. Who knows, maybe they really do have some means of escaping. I've already told G. Hibiki. Uzumaki nodded and said, and as you instructed, I placed special seals on them. If they leave the designated area, an alarm will sound immediately. In that case, we still need to be careful, Jun Uzumaki said coldly, narrowing his eyes. If anything seems amiss, he would act immediately. He didn't want the two of them to escape before he finished his work. So, today he planned to go and see if they were staying put. Sigh. Jiraiya took a swig of sake, sighed, and then, slammed the sake cup on the table with a loud bang. Fill it up. Konoha, one of the 3 great ninja villages. With the heavy losses in this war, he didn't even know if the old man could survive. So, he decided, he would go back to the village tomorrow to check on things. I've got plenty of money. Jiraiya swayed slightly drunk, and said, bring me the strongest drink. As for Tsunade, he didn't bother to ask. If she truly cared about Konoha, she would definitely think the same as him and go back to help. However, this Jiraiya-sama. The bartender pulled out a bill, gently pushed aside his glass, slapped it on the bar, squinted, and smiled. Since Jiraiya-sama has money, shouldn't you pay these debts? Damn it, you've been in debt for almost a year. If it weren't for your stable job, who would lend you money? And, you haven't paid it back even after getting paid. Jiraiya snapped out of his daze, embarrassed, and said apologetically, I've been spending a bit more lately. Don't worry, I'm going on a mission in a few days. He patted his chest, I'll definitely come back to pay you back. Didn't you say I'm rich? The bartender glanced sideways and said casually, since you have money, why don't you pay it back? Pay up. Or I'll call the police. WWH. Jiraiya hesitated. Then glanced at the glass beside him and said, I'm just a little tipsy. Seeing the bartender's angry expression, he quickly turned around, preparing to slip away. Suddenly, Jiraiya's eyes lit up as he looked at a middle-aged man walking in from the door. His face showed confusion, bewilderment, and curiosity. Jiraiya's lips immediately curled into a smile. This is a newbie. Then, don't worry, I'll definitely pay for the drinks today. Jiraiya sat back down, squinting, and said, I'm the Toad Sage, Jiraiya of the legendary Sannin of Konoha. My reputation is guaranteed. Definitely. Chapter 1. Chapter 347. You're eating. Your Highness soon. The ninja at the door, seeing the people approaching, was startled and quickly greeted them respectfully. Soon nodded and said, thank you for your hard work. He then led Hibiki Uzumaki inside. You see, this house has a rather old history. Back when Danzo re-established his power in the land of whirlpools, he lived here. This house was where Danzo studied the advanced revism and thick black theory, but it was later rebuilt on the original site, and some books to enrich people's minds were added. These books. Madara has been quite engrossed in reading them lately. He would always carry it with him, no matter where he was. Knock knock. Uzumaki soon knocked on the door, then opened it and went in. Looking at Minato sitting quietly in the chair, he smiled and said, how are you doing here? Not bad. Minato put down a copy of the sayings of Prince Sun in his hand, a warm smile on his face, and said, the food here is better than in Konoha, the bed is warmer than in Konoha, and that. He pointed to the air conditioner next to him, I don't feel hot at night. He never imagined that a small island nation like the land of whirlpools had developed to this extent, with so many amazing things that he had never seen in the land of fire or in Konoha. He sighed inwardly, looking at Uzumaki-jun with complicated emotions. Konoha. Has it lost? So many days have passed, the war should be over by now. He had already given up hope that the 5 great shinobi villages could win, especially since the daimyo of the land of whirlpools could still come to see him so leisurely. He guessed that the Konoha ninjas were probably all. Minato shook his head with a wry smile and said, if I said I had no ill intentions and came to the land of whirlpools only to carry out the Hokage's orders to bring back the Uchiha clan, would you believe me? I believe you. Uzumaki-jun said with a smile, of course I believe you. It's just that he didn't quite believe that old man. Don't worry, Konoha's ninja casualties aren't too heavy. They're all shining brightly for communism. Thank you. Minato breathed a sigh of relief and said gratefully, thank you for letting them go. It's what I should do. Uzumaki soon shook his head and said calmly, the land of whirlpools is a kind and peace-loving country, and would never do something as immoral as mistreating prisoners. Besides drawing chakra every morning, carrying bricks, attending classes in the evening, and taking exams on weekends, they weren't required to do anything else. It was very easy. I believe you. Minato looked at Uzumaki-sun earnestly and said firmly, you. A good person. Uzumaki-sun was stunned when he heard Minato's words, then looked away from Minato's clear eyes. You are right. He sighed, his eyes filled with confusion as he gazed ahead. What do you think of the ninja world now? Minato opened his mouth, then fell silent, saying, I don't know either. No. Uzumaki-jun shook his head, staring intently at Minato, and said, you know. You just don't dare to say it. War, chaos, death. Uzumaki-jun's eyes filled with pity, and he sighed softly. This is the norm in the ninja world. This world is sick. Even Konoha, a village that originally loved peace, has changed. Forcing comrades to their deaths, oppressing clans within the village, harming loyal officials, and indiscriminately killing the innocent. Uzumaki-jun's face showed a bitter smile as he said helplessly. These are the outrageous things Konoha has done in recent years. No. Hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, Minato quickly retorted, shaking his head, and said with a serious expression, "This is all for the peace of Konoha." The Hokage-sama was forced into it. Minato's gaze cleared as he looked earnestly at Uzumaki-jun. Perhaps there's a lot of darkness in Konoha, but the Hokage has been working hard to change it. I believe that in the future, Konoha will be able to achieve mutual understanding among all people, and that all ninjas in the ninja world will understand each other, achieving true peace. I'm speechless. This will of fire is incredibly powerful. Uzumaki-jun stared dumbfounded at Minato. No wonder you became Hokage. No wonder you died so young. You even drank this toxic chicken soup with relish. Who else but you would die? But I believe only communism can save the ninja world, so I refuse to believe that locking him in a dark room, plus so many books, can't reverse brainwashing. Perhaps. Uzumaki-jun sighed, his bewildered eyes looking at Minato. Perhaps what you said is true. But I hope you can seriously read these books. He pointed to the books beside him. These are what I've summarized over the years based on the words of the Akatsuki leader. It showed me a different path. Then, he turned away from Minato and said softly, I hope that in the future you can work with me to heal this ninja world that has been sick for so long, and bring true peace to this ninja world. He sighed softly, shook his head in disappointment, and left with Uzumaki Hibiki. As for Minato, looking at Uzumaki-jun's retreating figure, a hint of bewilderment appeared in his eyes. He murmured, Radism. Is this really what we have to do? Konoha. Hokage-sama. Jiraiya-sama. His heart was filled with confusion and bewilderment. What should I do? Uzumaki soon walked out the door, a slight smile playing on his lips. The seed had been planted, waiting for savagery to take root, sprout, and flourish in this ninja world. Keep a close eye on him. Uzumaki soon said to the Uzumaki ninja, there absolutely cannot be any accidents. As long as he doesn't leave here, you don't need to worry about the rest. Uzumaki soon believed in his heart. Minato, that wife-protecting maniac, would definitely change. Yes, the Uzumaki ninja replied respectfully. Just then. Your Highness soon. Suddenly, Zimu appeared before him, respectfully saying, the daimyo of the Land of Water has sent someone to request an audience with you. The Land of Water? Soon was taken aback upon hearing Zimu's words, and said, what are they doing here? Before he could finish speaking, Soon narrowed his eyes. Delay them for a while. He seemed to know what the Land of Water was up to. He smiled and said, let me put on some makeup first. Rui Ling, Zaitai, Atsushi, clutching his back, arrived at the shopping street and looked at the junior team members enjoying their food nearby, saying, how's your investigation going? He frowned. Why does it smell so bad? Uncle Atsushi, you. Zaitai looked up at the middle-aged man in front of him, about to ask, but then saw Atsushi clutching his back and exclaimed in surprise, what have you been doing? Why does he look so weak, like, well, and, how long has it been? It's already so fast. Zeta looked at Tsuchigumo Atsushi with a strange expression. Could it really be a hollow? Don't even mention it, Tsuchigumo Atsushi sighed, helplessly saying. I ran into a con man, and almost didn't make it back. You got scammed. Zeta and Rulin's eyes lit up as they looked at Tsuchigumo Atsushi, seemingly anticipating the rest of the story. But, thump thump. Tsuchigumo Atsushi each gave him a flick on the forehead, saying irritably, what are you thinking? He was just tricked by a white-haired youth who claimed to be one of the 3 legendary Sannin of Konoha, the Toad Sage. If the bartender hadn't suggested he sell his chakra to pay off his debt, he probably wouldn't have made it back. He tugged at his nose. Why does it smell so bad? Looking down at the white lunchbox Zeta and Rulin were holding, inside were several lumps of black. This smell. His eyes widened in disbelief. Are you eating shit? Chapter 2, Nothing More. Chapter 348, A Terrifying Ninja Sword. Daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools. A short, stout middle-aged man bowed respectfully before Uzumaki-jun, who had entered with a mysterious square iron box wrapped in densely packed jutsu seals on it, his face deathly pale. I am Sugihara Amy, the official merchant's representative of the daimyo's mansion in the Land of Water, paying my respects to the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools. It seems the rumors circulating in the ninja world were true. This daimyo of the land of whirlpools had indeed suffered severe injuries after using Frostmourne. Otherwise, why would such a powerful figure appear so pale and weak? Even his walking was slow and unsteady. And, glancing at the daimyo's right hand, if I'm not mistaken, the jutsu seals on it are sealing techniques. It seems that the legendary ninja sword cannot be used casually simply by awakening its spirit. That makes sense. If such power could be used without restraint, the person who gained the legendary ninja sword's approval would probably have already ruled the ninja world. How could it have been lost for over 1,000 years? Uzumaki soon nodded indifferently, feigning no repercussions, and walked to his seat, saying expressionlessly, "What business does the daimyo of the land of water have with me?" He had spent over half an hour doing his makeup, then using magnet release to create an iron box, and casually drawing some advanced sealing jutsu seals on it. It was all just for show, so Uzumaki soon just scribbled randomly, and now even he couldn't understand what it meant. As for these people in front of him, even if they had ninjas, they probably wouldn't understand either. I represent the daimyo of the land of water to offer my deepest apologies for Kirigakure's unauthorized attack on the land of whirlpools. Lan Wei said with a look of shame. Our daimyo is unaware of this matter. Kirigakure deliberately concealed it from us. Tisk tisk. Uzumaki soon curled his lip in disdain. Who would believe that? Enough with the nonsense, let's get to the good stuff. He has other things to do later. Lan Wei knew the land of whirlpools wouldn't believe such superficial apologies, yet she still sincerely said, to express the land of water's apology, the daimyo's mansion has now ceased all financial aid to Kirigakure. Furthermore, the land of water is willing to assist the land of whirlpools in recovering the losses suffered by Kirigakure. That's a thorough sellout. Uzumaki soon narrowed his eyes at Lan Wei, saying indifferently, just say what you want to say. I don't have time for you to join me in condemning Kirigakure. I'm sorry. Lan Wei nodded apologetically, saying, given that the land of whirlpools unintentionally obtained the land of water's national treasure. This is the land of whirlpool spoils of war. Uzumaki soon said coldly, spoils of war stolen from the third Mizukage. They actually wanted to get something for nothing. Did they even ask my clone, Uchiha, for permission? Yes, these are spoils of war from the land of whirlpools. Lan Wei quickly corrected herself. My name has no other intentions. Wiping the cold sweat from her forehead, she realized that the daimyo of the land of whirlpools before her was no ordinary daimyo. He was one of the strongest ninjas in the world. It was my daimyo's father, the former daimyo, who, upon hearing of the appearance of the land of water's national treasure, remembered the history lost over 1,000 years ago, felt ashamed before his ancestors, and hoped to bring back the land of water's national treasure before his death. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw the land of whirlpools daimyo looking at him with a grim expression. However, since Kirigakure initiated the war without permission, and now this ninja sword has become a spoil of war for the land of whirlpools, the land of water's daimyo will not take it back for free, but has decided to redeem it for twice the price Kirigakure offered at the auction. To fulfill the former daimyo's wish and show his filial piety. Lan Wei sighed, wiping away tears, and said, my daimyo's filial piety is already renowned throughout the ninja world. I hope the land of whirlpools daimyo can grant my daimyo's wish. Saying this, Lan Wei wiped away tears while looking at Uzumaki with expectant eyes. How touching this filial piety was. Even he himself was moved. Twice? Isn't that just over 20 billion? Uzumaki soon narrowed his eyes, looking at Lan Wei, and sighed inwardly. Truly worthy of being one of the 5 great nations. So wealthy. But not enough. Uzumaki soon shook his head and said calmly, this is still not enough. Then, with a grim expression, he raised his right hand. This price is simply not enough to compensate for the damage that war caused me. And, he even remembered the history of thousands of years ago? That history was something he had black Zetsu make up on a whim. This. Lan Wei looked at Uzumaki soon's expression and asked cautiously, excuse me, what is this? What's going on? Sigh. Uzumaki soon sighed, a bitter smile on his face, and said, you have no idea how terrifying that ninja sword is. No, we know. The people from the daimyo's residence in the land of water stared at Uzumaki-jun's hands with fear in their eyes. They had come to the land of whirlpools by going around the sea, because the ice there hadn't melted yet. The legendary ninja sword was truly terrifying. But they silently watched the daimyo of the land of whirlpools, without uttering a sound. Snap! Uzumaki-jun made a hand seal, and instantly golden light flashed on the iron box. Uzumaki-jun screamed in pain. Be on guard. Zemu behind him also changed his expression and shouted loudly. Whoosh whoosh! All the whirlpool ninjas began to form hand seals, seemingly resisting something. The officials of the land of water, seeing this scene, wondered if something terrible was about to happen. They were just ordinary people. Just as she was about to scream for help to get the ninja guards to come forward. Don't be nervous. Uzumaki-jun suddenly said weakly, after this period of sealing, the power of the ninja swords has been greatly reduced. How could he intimidate people if he didn't describe the ninja swords as terrifying as possible? This. Lan Wei's eyes widened, staring incredulously at the right hand of the daimyo of the land of whirlpools, that solidified, enormous crystal-like ice pillar. Exquisite and translucent, sparkling and ingenious, it seemed to be a mysterious ice sculpture, a masterpiece of nature, but crack! The chilling aura emanating from it indicated that it wasn't as beautiful as it appeared. In just a moment, the entire table froze, and the floor slowly formed a thick layer of snow-white ice. This power doesn't belong to me at all. Seemingly because the seal had been broken, the daimyo of the land of whirlpools' face turned even paler. He sighed, looking at his right hand with regret and fear, and said, "It's terrifying. Now I finally understand why no one has been able to awaken the sword spirit until now." Yes. Uzumaki-jun's eyes narrowed. They're too weak. He sighed with a bitter smile. Once they awaken the ninja sword, they might be completely consumed by its power and die. So that's it. The official from the land of water nodded in understanding. No wonder that mysterious Mangekyo Sharingan immediately threw away the ninja sword when it was awakened. It seems he couldn't withstand the power and was forced to throw it away. And why didn't he appear during the anti-gang campaign? Could it be because this power hadn't been eliminated yet? Lan Wei seemed to realize something, her expression instantly changing. It seemed she would have to inform the daimyo before returning home. Suddenly, the officials of the land of water shivered, looking down at the ground. The chill had already spread to their feet, even their shoes were covered in a thick layer of ice crystals. So, could they seal the arm again first? This power, even after so many days, was still so terrifying. It was simply unimaginable, the true power of that ninja sword. Chapter 1. Chapter 349. The deal. Crack, crack. Seeing the water country official's face turn pale from the cold, Uzumaki-jun quickly sealed his right hand again, sighed, and said regretfully, "This power is just too strong. Unfortunately, it doesn't belong to me." So, Lan Wei looked at the regretful and fearful expression on the face of the Uzumaki country daimyo and quickly asked cautiously, "Does your excellency wish?" "I don't wish for anything." Uzumaki-jun shook his head, sighed, and said, "What I really want is to seal this ninja sword permanently. But, in this war, although the Uzumaki country won, it also suffered heavy losses." Lan Wei narrowed his eyes. Hearing the Uzumaki country daimyo's words, he knew there was hope. As long as they negotiated a suitable price, they could take the ninja sword back. But why didn't this daimyo keep such a powerful ninja sword for himself? As for the claim of heavy losses, he wouldn't believe it. They had seen the situation in the land of whirlpools before they arrived. It was incredibly wealthy. Could it be that the daimyo of the land of whirlpools discovered he couldn't control that power? Just as he said, this power didn't belong to him. For a daimyo possessing the strength of a god of the ninja world, perhaps only power that belongs to oneself is truly the strongest. Power that cannot be controlled ultimately doesn't belong to oneself. This is the confidence and arrogance of the strong. Or perhaps, he believes that if he can control it, no one else can. You must know that currently, only 2 people in the entire ninja world are known to have awakened the sword spirit. One is the elusive Uchiha Shin, and the other is this daimyo of the land of whirlpools before them. But all of this is irrelevant to them. Their mission is simply to bring the legendary ninja sword back. 3 times? Lan Wei hesitated for a moment, seemingly using her greatest resolve, and said, "This is all the funds the daimyo of the land of water can afford. If you don't agree, then I'm sorry. After all, this is an uncontrollable ninja sword. My daimyo is only redeeming it to fulfill my filial duty. If the interests of the country are severely damaged just for a useless ninja sword, my daimyo certainly won't allow it." He sighed regretfully. It seems we're turning to leave if you don't agree. In that case. Uzumaki soon glanced at his right hand and sighed. Very well, for the sake of the people of the land of whirlpools, I, the daimyo, will grant the water daimyo's request for filial piety. The warehouse is overflowing. If you need anything, you can come again. Since that's the case. Lan Wei heard Uzumaki-sun's words, a flash of excitement crossing her eyes, and said, that ninja sword. Before she could finish speaking. But you must agree to one request from the land of whirlpools. Uzumaki-sun said with a gloomy face, in this war, the third Mizukage of Kirigakure inflicted heavy losses on the land of whirlpools. Although the third Mizukage is now frozen solid. His eyes were cold as he looked at Lan Wei. But his clan. The Mizuki clan. That's a bloodline limit. The land of whirlpools has always been open to those with bloodlines. You mean? Lan Wei heard the daimyo's words and her heart trembled. She carefully said, the Mizuki clan. Completely wiped out. That's ruthless. The Mizukage is frozen solid, and they still won't let his clan go. No wonder they're selling the ninja sword. It seems this daimyo of the land of whirlpools is petty. Assist the ninjas of the land of whirlpools in capturing the entire Mizuki clan. Uzumaki-jun said coldly. The land of whirlpools has always been. Never far, never less, to punish any clan that has invaded it. I see. Lan Wei hesitated for a moment. The matter wasn't too harsh. In any case, the daimyo's mansion didn't have any fondness for the ninjas of Kirigakure, especially after the strength that the land of whirlpools displayed in that war. Even without ninja villages, a country could become powerful. It's estimated that all the daimyo's hearts are now filled with a desire to destroy the ninja villages and reclaim military power. But if it's just for the sake of the land of whirlpools, harming their own citizens, the reputation of the daimyo of the land of water will be affected. However, HMPH. Seeing Lan Wei's hesitant expression, Uzumaki-jun snorted coldly and said, since you don't agree, then please leave. Not selling. Selling it to the land of fire later, the daimyo of the land of fire should be very happy. We need to consult the daimyo about this matter. Hearing Uzumaki-sun's words, Lan Wei quickly shook his head with a wry smile and said, we don't have the authority to make this decision. Military matters weren't something he, as the Minister of Finance, could casually inquire about. All right. Uzumaki-sun nodded and said, use the messenger hawk, you should have news by tomorrow. If it drags on too long. Uzumaki-sun narrowed his eyes at them. He would sell the ninja sword to the land of fire. Understood. Lan Wei wiped his sweat and nodded, saying, I'll do it as soon as possible. In that case. Uzumaki-sun narrowed his eyes and said, also, ask the new Mizukage when the compensation for the 100 gates of chakra and war losses will be paid. This was over 30 billion. No wonder the daimyo of the land of whirlpool stopped haggling. So that's what he was after. Lan Wei wiped away his sweat, inwardly cursing, but outwardly cheerfully said, I'll consult my daimyo. Kirigakure wouldn't pay. They haven't even repaid their debt to Konoha yet. It'll probably be the land of water that pays in the end. But, a total of over 60 billion. Lan Wei quickly put on an apologetic smile and said righteously, my daimyo will definitely condemn Kirigakure's immoral and uncivilized behavior. This wasn't his concern, he'd ask the daimyo first. HMPH. Uzumaki-sun snorted coldly, then, slowly stood up, turning to leave. Instantly, all the Uzumaki ninja tensed up and surrounded him, seemingly worried he might be injured, protecting him closely. Sigh. Lan Wei watched the departing daimyo of the land of Uzumaki side, muttering to himself, it seems this daimyo's injuries aren't as minor as they appear. Otherwise, why would such a powerful figure have so many people protecting him? No wonder he sold ninja swords. That's probably why. If using one would result in serious injury, it's indeed a bit of a waste. But, Lan Wei's face was filled with excitement. The national treasure of the land of water, perhaps the land of water's treasury has a way to control it? Especially that ice crystal stone tablet. We must have those historians in the country study it carefully. Uncle Atsushi. Zeta took a bite of stinky tofu and said helplessly, how's your investigation going? Don't forget the clan leader's mission. This perverted uncle is really worrying. He was just saying they were eating that thing, and now he's actually stealing their food. Relax. Tsuchigumo Atsushi picked up a piece of stinky tofu, nodded, and said, the investigation is almost complete. The food in the land of whirlpools is really interesting. Even if I wanted to eat it now, I wouldn't have any money. It's like going back to the Warring States period. The land of whirlpools exorbitantly priced sake. That despicable white-haired swindler. Thinking of him, Atsushi angrily snapped his chopsticks in two. Never let me see him again. This is indeed a good place. Although he did go there to drink, he hadn't forgotten his mission. The land of whirlpools was definitely not as simple as it seemed. Just the prohibition of drugs, gambling, and prostitution made it seem unfathomable. Chapter 2. That's all. Chapter 350 The Nation and the Ninja Village. Land of Water. The Land of Water's daimyo opened his folding fan, casually fanning himself before covering his mouth, and said, "Should we help the Land of Whirlpools arrest the Uzumaki Clan?" His words were barely out of his mouth. Daimyo, a minister of the Land of Water, stepped forward, saying, "Our Land of Water absolutely cannot agree to this. First, Kirigakure is still a ninja village of the Land of Water, and the Uzumaki Clan is still a citizen of the Land of Water. If the Land of Water arrests its own citizens because of a word from another country, infringing upon the interests of its own ninja villages, that will definitely damage the reputation of the Land of Water." Back then, the previous daimyo listened to the advice of the first Mizukage, Byakuren, and established the ninja villages, essentially to end the wars of the Warring States period and pacify the chaotic world. Although the Land of Water's army gradually became mere gatekeepers, and the ninja villages became the main military force of various countries, it cannot be denied that the chaos has indeed subsided. What was originally domestic family feuds has transformed into wars between nations, diverting domestic conflicts and thus significantly enhancing the overall strength of various countries over the past few decades. If the daimyo were to arrest a family within his own country because of a nation unrelated to the Land of Water, or even a hostile one, the minister said respectfully, it would inevitably cause chaos. Furthermore, according to the information relayed by Minister Lan Wei, the fourth Mizukage will certainly not offer 30 billion. Kirigakure probably couldn't afford 30 billion at this point either. Therefore, this ninja sword will ultimately only cost the Land of Water over 60 billion taels of silver to purchase. The minister bowed respectfully, saying, although Frostmourne is a national treasure of the Land of Water that has been passed down for thousands of years. They didn't know if the Land of Water had actually been around for 1,000 years, but that's what the stone tablet said. However, awakening the sword spirit is far too demanding. Not only does it require unparalleled strength, but it also demands the sword spirit's approval. For the Land of Water, it's practically a useless commodity. If it were only 100 million, perhaps it would be acceptable, but 600 million is a bit too much. It would inevitably bring turmoil to the Land of Water, giving other countries an opportunity to take advantage. Moreover, the Land of Water doesn't have such powerful individuals. Those who possess such strength are all from Kirigakure, but given the current state of the ninja world, the daimyo's control over ninjas is weakening. If they obtain a ninja sword and hand it over to a ninja village, it will definitely further bolster the ninja village's prestige. Therefore, I believe, the minister looked up at the daimyo with clear eyes and said, Frostmourne is not suitable for the Land of Water. Furthermore, if the Land of Water were to obtain it, Konoha's current fate would be the Land of Water's fate in the future. The daimyo of the Land of Water frowned upon hearing the minister's words. The minister's words did have merit, but having his own country's national treasure in another's country still left him feeling uneasy. Since that's the case, the daimyo sighed, saying, reject. However, his words were barely out of his mouth. Daimyo, your subject does not agree with Minister Kong's viewpoint. A slightly overweight, bald minister stepped forward and said, the conflict between the daimyo's prefectures and the ninja villages is escalating. It's all because of the red ideology of the Land of Whirlpools. The one country one village policy created by the god of shinobi back then pacified the chaotic world and was indeed a great policy, but unexpectedly, it has slowly eroded the daimyo's control over their domestic military forces. Therefore, if the relationship between the daimyo's prefecture and the ninja villages doesn't improve, the minister said respectfully, a war is inevitable sooner or later. And now, the strength of the daimyo's army. Before, it was manageable. Many ninjas who couldn't make ends meet would join the army to defend their homes. But now, most have joined the ninja villages, leaving only a handful of stray ninjas. Add to that the ninja village's zero-tolerance policy towards homeless ninjas, and the daimyo's prefecture is finding it difficult to recruit even a few ninjas. The only remaining recruits are the gradually being phased-out samurai. If the daimyo's prefecture possesses Frostmourne, the situation will definitely be better. After all, the legendary power of the ninja sword, many people know this. If a strong ninja wields it within the country, even without its awakening, the ninja villages won't dare to act rashly. Of course, if the Land of Water maintained its old system, with the ninja villages possessing the military power of a nation, and the daimyo's prefecture controlling the nation's politics, people's livelihood, and economy, that would also be feasible. However, after witnessing the absolute control the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools has over military power, which daimyo wouldn't want that? I've heard that in the Land of Fire, some wandering ninjas are stirring up trouble around the daimyo, saying that the power of ninjas should be in the hands of the daimyo's household, the fat minister said respectfully. Therefore, the daimyo's household should have its own secure ninja army. Otherwise, the daimyo's household will inevitably be controlled by the ninja villages. Although the Minister of the Sky also had a point, but, if the legendary ninja sword were in hand, the Land of Water would be more confident, and could attract more ninjas to join the daimyo's household. Then, hearing the fat minister's words, the daimyo frowned again and asked, "What do you all think? Buying is fine, not buying is fine too." The daimyo, I'm in a dilemma. This. The ministers below looked at each other in bewilderment. Both of them made sense, and they didn't know what to do. In my humble opinion. At this moment, another minister, who was somewhat older, stepped forward and said, "The fact that the Land of Water purchased the ninja sword should not be publicized. Let others still believe that Frostmourne is in the Land of Whirlpools. At the same time, we can also secretly deal with the Uzumaki Clan." The old minister's face revealed a sinister look as he said, "We demand that the current Uzumaki cooperate fully. Otherwise, the Land of Water will cooperate with the Land of Whirlpools to reclaim the 300 shots lost to Kurogakure." This. Hearing the old minister's words, the daimyo of the Land of Water hesitated again. Wasn't this just the Land of Water still paying over 60 billion? The Land of Water was using 30 billion to buy the life of the Uzumaki clan. Although the daimyo's reputation wouldn't be damaged in secret, he was heartbroken about the money. After spending over 60 billion, the entire country would definitely have to tighten its belt. "Minister Kong, what do you think?" The daimyo pondered for a moment, then looked at Minister Kong and asked, "What do you think of Minister Taku's suggestion?" "Your humble servant." Minister Kong frowned. Indeed, it made sense. If a nation's military power is controlled by a single ninja village for an extended period, it's indeed detrimental to the daimyo's governance. However, once over 60 billion is spent, the lives of the people within the country will inevitably be affected. Neither the daimyo nor the citizens, he still couldn't bear it. He sighed helplessly. The daimyo has already made his decision. Minister Kong shook his head with a wry smile, saying, "Why ask your humble servant again? Are you leaving?" Uzumaki-jun looked at Jiraiya and said, "Actually, you don't need to worry. Konoha won't perish. There are still several long-serving Genin in the village." He believed they could weather this storm. Moreover, apart from Kumagakure, which would truly fight, the other ninja villages were basically just going through the motions. "I am one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha," Jiraiya said with a wry smile, shaking his head. "If you release Minato, Orochimaru, and all the Konoha ninjas, I can stay." "Sure," Uzumaki-jun nodded, narrowing his eyes. "As long as Konoha pays off its war debts, you can come and collect them." "Collect them? What a joke. Hundreds of billions. Even selling Konoha wouldn't bring in that much money. But Minato and Orochimaru are ultimately unsuitable for the Land of Whirlpools, after all. Konoha needs them." Jiraiya shook his head with a wry smile, sighed, and said, "I'll go discuss it with the old man." He figured the old man would only redeem a few people in the end. Uzumaki-jun shrugged. If they came to redeem them too late, by the time the whole process was completed, most of them would have become whiplashes. Tsunade still hasn't come. Jiraiya sighed dejectedly, then smiled and said, "In that case, I'll be going." "Okay." Uzumaki-jun glanced discreetly at the distance, nodded with narrowed eyes, and said, "Let's go." Then, summoning jutsu, Jiraiya summoned Gamamaru, sat on it, and left with a flourish. As for Uzumaki-jun, watching Jiraiya's retreating figure, the corners of his mouth slightly upturned, he muttered, "It's time to establish a credit system in this country. Hopefully, when you return to the Land of Whirlpools, you'll have paid off all your debts, otherwise, you'll be spending your next life in prison." "You actually think you can take someone away without paying? You must be dreaming." Chapter 1. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.